Hello, everybody. Hopefully,
Hello, everybody.
everything's working.
Greetings, fellow travelers.
It's me, Drew and Grant. We are members
It's
of the
me.
Paper Dungeon, and this is Table Scraps, the show that we run on Thursdays about the show that we run on Mondays, and various other topics. Speaking of that show on Mondays, we run Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Hansky is here.
Yeah,
dude.
Notice that
We've been
been
chatting.
talking to.
I'm sorry. I didn't have the stream pulled up right away. I'm sorry. I was distracted.
Classic.
Hi, Hansky. I'm glad you're here.
Well, anyway, we've been running this campaign for 3 years, and on this last Monday, it was the last episode. So, last one. It's all gone.
It was the last time we'll ever be live.
Yep.
Yeah, huh? That's right. After
That's
today,
not
it's no more.
We delete the channel after today, so hope that you guys didn't blow it.
Who's you guys? Oh, us?
No, the viewers.
Oh, okay.
You should have watched our stuff. If you're popping into
Also-
this now and you're like, man,
And
this
get
is
ready
really
because while we will delete this channel, we will start a second channel
Yep,
called
from
Paper Dungeon
scratch.
2.
From scratch.
The Paper Dungeon 2,
Yep, TPD2.
where we just start over.
It's like CSGO.
Hey,
Where it's just
I'm
the
going to
same
shout
thing,
this out
but
now.
with better graphics.
We'll be on sort of a break. We'll be doing things kind of in the middle of the break, especially like repurposing some of the first campaign stuff, improving things. However, during the break, if you want other things to watch, go check out New Age Geeks on Twitch.
Don't worry, Hans.
It's a campaign that Hans is on, who is a regular in chat and has been a long-term viewer and supporter of the Paper Dungeon. So go check them out because I like what they're doing. It's a good thing to do over the break.
As an answer to your question, Handskate, no, but also yes, Drew will be a subscriber to TPD2, but only when you gift him a sub.
That's right. And don't worry, Hans. I will make sure that you are the first to be modded in TPD2.
Oh, to be fair, that's not unlikely due to the fact that I don't think I'm a mod. I'm pretty sure.
Well, you're not a mod. I don't think DJ's a mod.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, DJ should definitely not be trusted with mod.
Yeah.
DJ would.
I don't think DJ knows what mod
I don't
is.
think Ryan was a mod when he was on the cast.
That's fair.
Uh,
I'm proud of us. Way to not take all the power for ourselves.
maybe.
Look, I'm gonna type in chat right now, and I'm gonna say I'm not a mod because I unmodded myself a while ago.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, so I
You
actually
should not make
don't
me-
have mod abilities.
DJ would be the worst mod because he doesn't know what it is. But if he did, he would abuse it instantly.
Hashtag release DJ 2024. Is that a hashtag? Hashtag free DJ? You gave me moderator. The only thing is now whenever I chat in chat, now it just looks like we're only talking to moderators. Which I mean is cool. We love moderators, but I don't need to be a mod. I can just, I can just be vibing.
Well,
in there.
no,
It's a
you
little
don't have to-
fishy,
you don't
a little
have to
fishy
be-
in the little pond. I'm a
don't
koi
have to
fish.
be-
I'm a koi
okay.
fish, Drew, and I'm coming for you.
Guys,
You don't have to be
guys,
mod if you don't want to. I just wanted to make you mod to make it a joke. 'cause
You're
then the
looking
next
like
time
an
you-
awfully tasty
The next
piece of
time
kibble.
you would
Drew.
chat, it would show up as a
Ladies.
mod, and so then I would
Ladies,
point
Like a
point out that you're
little
a liar.
water surface
Ladies, we've-
bug that I'm just about
we've
to...
got a show. Handskate is plugging our gosh dang our plugs. Thank you.
Who are we plugging
Listen,
to?
everybody. We have like 7 people.
Hey, that's actually... Hey, guys.
What?
Well, I'm just being
Grant,
a
this
goofy
is
little
why
fella.
we don't invite you until halfway through the show because we don't. Get
I'm over
anything
my
done
quota.
if you're here in the first. Exactly.
This is
You're-
probably
you're-
like the
it's over a
third
quota.
table talks I've joined in like the year. So this is...
Well, Handskate is doing a kind enough job to plug our stuff that we have. We have social media. We have YouTube. We have podcasts. If you want to listen to our stuff, that's a good place to do it. We also have multiple ways for you to support us. Ko-Fi, we have Streamlabs donations, we have Patreon. Patreon will get improved over the course of the break. So when we start TPD2, Patreon will be popping. I'm excited
Hans.
for it, ready to see it. Yeah,
Hans,
I don't
you're
think
such a
that we
cool
have
mod.
have a YouTube thing, which is kind of hilarious.
Grant, put that on the list of things to update.
We haven't revisited
during the
our...
break.
Yeah, we need
we
to
haven't
look through all
revisited
of our commands.
things
Yeah,
for like
and
a year probably.
For
well,
like
because
2,
here's the thing.
dude.
Because Maz was the one who set up most of the commands way back in the day, and then we just
That's
never
true.
touched them.
Yeah, we were like, well,
We've never touched
He
them.
did it.
we did it, guys.
Let's see
Job,
what-
Maz.
Woo!
Let's like do exclamation point DJ and see if there's anything for that. Because there's gotta be something, right? Nothing.
Try exclamation point DM.
I doubt it. How about exclamation point? Oh,
Nijay.
no,
Nijay.
Nijay.
Okay, there's
Thank you,
one.
Hans.
Look
DJ's
at
like
us
have
not
entered the
knowing our
chat.
own commands.
Well, in theory, it'd be our viewers who would use them more than us. So, you know.
What
Exclamation
viewers?
point Tarak is funny. I need your blood. I think it's Renai. I need your blood, right? Let's see if Philo Grant got
I
it
don't know,
correct
dude. We might have
today.
gotten rid of the track command because he's dead.
What?
That is
No.
true. Actually, I think we did do
Spoilers.
that. I think we did do
Oh,
that, actually.
it's table scraps. Welcome to Spoiler Central.
If
Speaking
you
of
are still
spoilers,
listening, today we're going to be talking about how the campaign
at least we're
one,
going to try.
Fate's Gambit,
Golly,
ended.
Grant.
Because it ended literally on Monday.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that
It
a
did.
little.
Literally.
Theoretically.
We defeated the final boss, the episode before this past episode. That is a thing that we did.
It happened.
We beat Dungeons and Dragons.
We did it.
We
I
did actually.
Yes.
I still find it amusing that my dad, who I've explained it many times, he still doesn't get how D&D ends. Even
What
though
do
I've
you mean? It's like a it's
like
like
he
how a
doesn't
story
get
ends.
like how a campaign ends, even though I've explained it to him. And I can't
Sounds
quite
right.
tell if he's just joking or if he really just doesn't
No,
get
your
it.
dad is a true true fundamentalist when it comes to TTRPGs because the truth is no story's truly
Yeah.
done.
It's like
It's always
never-ending
open
story.
ended.
Imagine if
Yeah.
my dad was secretly like a big like TTRPG
super
dude, like
big
back in the
Dungeons and
day.
Dragons.
Dallas.
Like, dude, oh my goodness, that'd be kind
That
of
would
crazy.
be that would
He's
be
probably a
journey.
first edition player.
That would be
and he
yeah,
just
that would
doesn't
be a
wanna
plot twist
admit
right
it.
there.
So anyway, after defeating the final boss 2 episodes ago, this past episode we had cleanup. The first thing we did in the episode was escape a collapsing mountain as we attempted to control one of the 6 truths, the truth of fear.
Yeah.
And Grant took care of that. Grant playing his character Edward
Cheers.
with using the Rod of 7 Parts, which was a fun little thing that DJ threw in there from some very early editions of Dungeons and Dragons, specifically in the Greyhawk era. Was when the Rod of 7 Parts came into play.
Aaron
Now-
predicted that it was the route of 7 parts, like
Yeah.
Aaron,
from like episode 5 or something
Aaron,
earlier maybe.
I am
Very
curious,
early
what did the Rod of 7 Parts originally do?
So that's the thing. The Rod of 7 Parts is like the MacGuffin of MacGuffins.
I see.
Where it's like, so Grant, and for those of you watching who are like Grant and don't know what a MacGuffin is, a MacGuffin is the thing that your DM gives you, or talks about, that is like the thing that is very important that you don't want to ever see used. So like
so it's
sometimes
just it's the 6 stones from Avengers.
yeah, it's like, hey, this is the thing. You need to transport this thing to this place, and bad people want it.
Yep.
You can't use it, but it's very powerful.
And you don't get to know what it even is.
It's the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
Protect
Where-
them, or
you're
Thanos
like,
will
"Don't
snap
let-
half
don't let
the world
people get
away.
The Ark, it'll be bad.
Da-
Any Indiana Jones movie has a MacGuffin. You've got the gosh dang little chalice. You got the Ark of the Covenant. You got that crystal skull. It's a MacGuffin.
I have an important question about MacGuffins.
Yes,
What was Swiper trying to swipe?
a MacGuffin.
Exactly, and that's my point. What was the MacGuffin in Dora? Was it the map?
Anything.
Was the map the holder
Well,
of the
Well,
the secrets that Swiper was going after?
Swiper
Because
has
there's a MacGuffin in this
successfully-
story.
Swiper has successfully stolen stuff from Dora.
Maybe
Like,
there's
he
a different
doesn't get
MacGuffin
chased
every
away
episode. I can't
single
remember.
time. He just like takes things that would be convenient.
How Hans, you had one of those and gave
Yeah.
it to the bad guy already?
A MacGuffin.
Sometimes it happens. It does. Look, a MacGuffin can be anything. Now in this story,
Yeah, like in
What's
Curse's
your
Rod, a
MacGuffin,
MacGuffin is a
viewer?
person.
yeah.
If you're listening to this right now or watching,
Do you
what
have a
is
personal
your
MacGuffin?
MacGuffin?
But yeah, the Rod of Seven Parts was originally kind of like, it was a mythical artifact that DMs would be like, oh shoot, it's the Rod of Seven Parts. And the players would go, what does a Rod of Seven Parts do? And they're like, it's so powerful, we couldn't even explain it. Sometimes it was...
Because that's great storytelling.
Yeah, it would do healing. It would do... like, since it was originally broken into 7 different parts... Like, originally it was just one rod.
Right.
And then it was broken into 7 different parts. It was meant to maintain order / or bring destruction.
I don't know why. I always
much
assumed it was originally created of 7 different parts that were combined. I don't know why I assumed that, like a little Lego set.
In some stories, it is. It's a MacGuffin. It's whatever the DM
In this
wants
one,
it
we
to
don't
be.
know if it was...
Correct. I don't think that we know whether or not it was always
I
one
choose to
or
believe
started
it was
seven.
a Lego set.
I
choose to believe it was
imagine.
a Lego set.
Well, I imagine it would make more sense that originally it was in fact one, because the Rod of Seven Parts was originally made to control the 6 truths, which were originally
that's
made
fair.
during the trial to be used to destroy the world.
Let's release like a Lego adjacent set that is just 7 pieces and you connect it to be one rod.
I would like to state it was... I had like so many theories that I presented to DJ as to why it was the Rod of 7 parts, but there were only 6 truths. And I was like, what if, like, there was the original piece of the rod, and then whenever you use the rod, it adds another piece and creates a truth. Your MacGuffin is soup that's the perfect temperature. That is a short-lived MacGuffin, let me tell you.
Wait, okay, so how does this work logically? The MacGuffin is the thing that you need to protect, right?
You need to protect, or you need to get, or you need to stop someone else from getting. It is
I
the
see.
focus
So-
of the story.
So to whipped cream, all soup that is the perfect temperature is only their soup. Nobody else can
Question:
have it.
Is this Goldilocks alt account? Is that what I'm?
That's pretty good.
Is that what's happening right now?
So a MacGuffin could be something you cherish, even.
Well, yeah, it's something that
It could be
like,
anything.
It is the thing in the story that the DM says, "Hey, this is important. Gotta watch out for it."
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily fully explain why.
But like, if you were to ever get it and be like, "Hey, could I use this?" The DM would go, "No," because they don't actually know what it does. They just want you. It's just the thing that moves the story along that you have to do something with. Transport it, get rid of it, throw it in a volcano. The one ring is just one MacGuffin.
Yeah,
exactly. It's something that the
It's
plot
something
can
that the
center
plot.
around.
So Samson's hair,
Probably.
because
Not all
it was
stories-
cut
not
and then
all
he
stories
lost.
have a MacGuffin.
I mean,
I mean,
Every single day of whipped
see, here's
cream's
the problem.
life.
Here's the problem: is Samson hair's on his head at first.
Well, that's the thing. Not everything has to be a MacGuffin, guys. I just said.
Also-
MacGuffins,
I know.
that's
I know.
what it
I'm just
was.
yeah.
Hold on, everybody. Handskate has a theory.
Wait.
my
Because-
own life is my MacGuffin.
What life? Just interrupting.
Zing!
Just interrupting everyone else when they're trying to do something. God,
Nothing.
I was trying to
motivates me
vamp
more
while we
than
waited for
warm soup.
Hans.
I'm just saying that is true though. Like a good bowl of soup. Oh,
Dude,
God,
like,
Did we ever
yeah,
figure out what
like
happened
good bowl
to
of
the OG
soup, good bowl of chowder. Oh,
yes.
so good.
we
Did
do
we
know
ever
what
figure
happens
out-
to the OG Sam, the kid from the
we ever figure
beginning,
out-
because he was in the one-shot episode where Grant played as the Pied Piper.
Oh, that's right.
He was the head of the Swarm, the orphan informant group that tells the Pied Piper all of the crime that's going on in the city.
That's true. Drew, did you ever see the
Was
Pied
his
Piper
name?
one
Was
shot?
his name Sam?
Something
Yeah, it
like
was
that.
Sam. It was Sam. Yeah.
You sure?
So Sam grew up to be like
I thought
an
it was like
informant for
Edward's
alter
Michael or
ego.
something.
No, it was definitely
yeah.
not Michael. We couldn't remember his name either. We just kept rotating through names, and it's definitely not Michael. I can tell you that.
I might have to go back and check the tapes.
Yeah,
'cause-
we could be wrong here,
I mean,
Hans.
live
It
your
might not
dream,
be
but I
Sam.
know it's not Michael.
well, no, I don't think it's Michael either. But I thought I didn't think it was Sam though either. But it might have been Sam. It might have been.
Should we talk about the
But no,
end?
but no, Hans, you
Thank
did
you
not
for
miss an
following
entire
me.
plot point.
Trying
Hands, you did not miss an entire plot point. That
Okay, we've been talking
we-
about MacGuffins.
We only
you've
saw
been talking about MacGuffins.
we
Sorry,
only
Drew,
saw
go
the
ahead.
orphan kid because of a special one shot that involved the orphan kid. He was not actually brought back into the fold of the main campaign at all.
Very vital part of the main campaign. The Pied Piper could not survive without the swarm. Anyway, we escape collapsing
Edward
mountain.
and Fellows.
Exactly, we would not have Edward and Fellows without the swarm there, aka Sam. Edward. Speaking of Edward
Not
and
Edward's
Fellows,
wife, to be clear. Different
look,
Sam.
My favorite part about this campaign is that at any point in time, if you don't know an NPC's name, you could just
probably
guess.
Sam.
You could just guess and say Sam and have a way higher likelihood of it being Sam than any other name in existence.
We're talking like probably a 1 in 12 or
It's
more
not
chance,
bad.
which is
There's
that's
okay,
pretty high though.
There's
for all
so
of the
many
characters.
NPCs that we've met, and like only like 3 of them are actually Sam's.
Here's the thing.
And you wanna know
I
what's
think
even
that More
crazier?
of them are Sams than we even think that they are. But it's just such a common name that we've forgotten all the times that their name is Sam.
Well, it's also crazy because there's also a very high percentage of Sams that are redheads. So like even the percentage of redheads named Sam is quite high in relation
Okay,
to
but
other
see
stories.
how many redheads? But see, being a redhead is also very rare.
Well,
Not in this
Melora
campaign, dude.
is not named Sam, and Melora was a redhead. But I
That's
think
the-
it's like
that's the
how
only one.
squares
That's
are
'cause DJ
rectangles,
didn't
not all
name her.
rectangles are squares.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Here's the 20 questions of the paper dungeon. This is the trick to it. If it's like
Okay, write this down.
name what is the name of this person, like that's what you have to get to, and it's like, do they have red hair? Yes. Is it Sam? That's all you need to know. you can get it in 2 and you're good to go, because if the answer is yes, then the name is Sam. If the answer is no, then it's Melora.
There you go. That is very true.
That's how we math it out. It's like, I think I've made this statement before, but it's like in a video game file where like there's a list of names that are available for like different character sprites, but then the character sprite that had red hair only ended up with 2 in the folder for it. So it's just like 99% of the time it's going to be one of these 2 names.
And you want to know what's so funny? Whenever what's the Arcphase name?
Zestari.
Zestari. Whenever Zestari has like a gathering of all of the Autumn Daughters in the whole world, it's like 99.9% of them are named Sam, and then 1 is named Melora.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's absolutely how it works.
Oh, correction.
But everyone else is named Sam.
One of them used to be named Melora. Now they're all just Sam because Melora isn't actually an Autumn daughter
true.
anymore.
Oh,
She doesn't get invited
maybe
to the
when they
meetings.
leave the guild, they get a real
Yeah,
world
a
name.
new Melora spawns in.
Is my wife an Autumn daughter? Actually, that's possible, by the way.
I mean,
Is Sam
Yeah.
an elf?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, well, that makes it
yeah,
remarkably
I think
more
she's
difficult.
human. Yeah.
Hey guys, just so you
She
know,
was.
this past episode, we played Dungeons and Dragons. After Edward,
We should just
quelled
restart.
fe-
We should just
will-
restart.
I'm just gonna mute you.
No.
After Edward quelled fear, we grouped up. We were pretty much asked, like, hey, what do you want to do? Just in general. Like, what's going on? We had a big party.
Yep.
excuse
Had a
me.
big party.
We had a
had
party,
some
some conversations.
Yep.
They were all great. I keep looking over to look at Grant just to see if he's going to interrupt me. I'm like traumatized.
I'm
at
patiently
this point.
waiting. I'm patiently waiting.
So in total, between the 3 of us, I'm trying to remember all these big moments, and y'all are gonna help us out. What were your guys' favorite moments that you had during the party from each of your characters?
Well, I'll start us off because I started talking first.
Go
Sounds
for it.
good.
You had a bunch of stuff that happened during the party.
So I would say my favorite thing probably was talking to his 3 gods.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that went very well and felt very nice. I had a couple of different ideas of how that conversation would go. depending on what DJ decided on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I liked what he chose, for a myriad of reasons. Um, most of them probably fairly subtle, to be
Now,
honest.
specifically, so in your conversation with the three
Yes,
gods, you were offered a choice, right? You were offered,
right.
like, hey, you're our champion, always will be, but you did a really good job, and your position really isn't needed anymore. So either A, you can get a fast pass to
The afterlife.
Island Oasis,
Yep.
and you can just stop
And you can
hanging
just
around
chill
here.
and be happy.
Or you can live out the rest of your life and then go there once you're done.
Right. But yeah. But and specifically with like, like I don't Cather doesn't get any more free lives, so to speak.
Mhm.
He gets
Next
to live
time
out the
you're
rest of
dead.
his life as he sees fit. But like,
Nah,
hey,
nah.
if he dies next time you die in battle, that's it, buddy. You know?
So try to avoid death. Good to
Yeah.
know.
Try to avoid dying. But
They're
but
like,
yeah,
hey,
but I
by the way, you're mortal now.
yes. Well, technically, Cather was always immortal. He just got brought.
Amortal or immortal?
No, he was always a mortal.
Okay.
He just
Because those are very different. Those are literally
he
opposite.
just had a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, he had
He had a get out of jail annual pass.
You're out of coins.
yeah, he had someone sitting next to him with just a bucket of quarters.
So,
So every
yeah.
time he died, they just put it.
Yeah,
in
you get the get the game over screen. It's like start over or keep going. Insert 3/4.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
these
It's like a
three random
dilapidated
people
Ferris
just like
wheel.
it wasn't even a bucket of quarters. It was a single quarter on a string that they kept putting in the machine and pulling
That's
it out.
more accurate.
Pulling
Like
it. Yeah.
Mr.
They were
Krabs.
like, you only have one quarter.
Yeah, but
Don't waste it. Don't spend it all in one place. And he's like, I'll spend it 10 times.
I'll spend it 10 times in one place. Yeah. But yeah, I really liked that conversation. I really liked that DJ had it so that they gave him a choice. For a few different reasons. One, I like the idea of Cather being able to choose because it's the first time that he would get to choose for himself, what he wanted to do without having to feel obligated to do something, which is very important for his unexpected, I would say, character arc, because when I originally created Cather, it was with the full idea in mind that after the campaign was over, he would walk away and he would walk away
Yeah,
into
he would
the
just turn
afterlife.
into sand.
Yeah, or something like that. And it would have been so much more tragic too if I did go with that, and Ryan and Hannah and Lydia were still all here, because they would have been so upset with me.
Well, we would have had a third funeral for Cather.
Third funeral.
Yeah, the first one
then
when we
the
all did
second
the chess
one
pieces.
that,
The second one when
Oh,
everybody
that's right.
died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Third
Yeah.
funeral for Cather. Sure enough. Well, I mean, they had a third funeral for Cather anyway. Eventually when he does die. So.
Yeah, you see,
Well,
this
if that
is
ever happens.
This is our problem: is that we lost all of the criers.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I
DJ
came close.
almost
I came
cried.
close to crying.
yeah, and then the only
We have a
two
lot of
people that
almost criers
Yeah,
here.
we've got the almost criers. I think I've forgotten how to cry. I think that my tear ducts don't work anymore. 'Cause
Maybe,
I'll be like,
maybe.
I'm
We
about
can
to
change
cry.
that.
I'll be about to cry, and then my tear ducts are like, there's nothing. We got nothing. We're out of ammo.
All right, here's the question.
Sorry,
what's your grimace or whatever it's called?
What?
Githmil. What's your McGruffin?
What?
What are you saying? Who are you
What
talking
is
to?
your McGruffin, Aaron?
MacGuffin, first of all. Second of all,
What is your
what does that
McMuffin?
have anything to do with this conversation?
Because maybe if your McGuffin was destroyed, you'd cry, is my point.
Oh my god.
Thank you, whipped cream. I'm cooking. The chat knows. They're on the same page.
Okay.
Cream, you don't
anyway,
have to lie.
back to what I was saying.
Please do.
I liked Cather being able to choose for himself. I also liked them giving the choice at all, because it did also prove, maybe not even necessarily prove Clovar wrong, but at least prove that the gods can learn.
Mhm.
You know, in the sense of like perhaps Clovar did have a point to what he said about the gods, or at least a lot of the gods, not really caring about their creation or their followers or whatever. However, this showed that at least to some degree that they do care and or could learn to do better.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciated. Because that would have been like if Cather had to try and convince his gods to allow him to stay, that would have been something that he had brought up.
Yeah.
Would be like, okay, if you guys want me to leave, I'll leave. But what does this say about you guys? If the greatest champion you guys have seen in this era, if really just the greatest champion of the gods in this era is being denied, his one request, what does that say about you guys? And does that just mean that Clovar was right? And let me tell you, I may not do anything about it, but I know a certain wizard who totally will. Because like legitimately, he would have said something like that. Mentions like, look, I'm not going to fight you guys. Like I'm not going to do that. However, Abernathy totally will, and he will find a way. He will he will make any deals, betray anybody that he has to come out on top. And if he has marked you his enemy, you are not going to find he's going to find a way.
It's not going to go well.
He's going to find a way to fight you.
I do love the idea that when Cather finally dies, though, there will be a serious like boy who cried wolf moment. Where everyone's like,
like, just wait, just give it a month.
Like a couple people hang out.
They're like betting on it.
Yeah. The entire thing is just someone being like, all right, I've got 8 gold on 4 days. Do we have any more? And like,
we'll see. Although here's a funny thing though, right? Like, so like it depends on how he dies. It depends on how he dies, right? Because like if he dies of old age, he can't come back.
Oh, you're an elf. Yeah, you've got hundreds of years.
So yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. So like, if he makes it those hundreds and hundreds of years, and that's when he finally dies again,
it's true. Here's the thing: Cather isn't Jesus. He's just an elf on New Game Plus. It literally is New Game Plus.
What's New Game
Cather.
Plus?
So when you complete the game, it'll often allow you a new save file on New Game Plus, which comes with various benefits, but it's also much more difficult.
Yeah. Usually you keep like your level that you ended your first run at, so you're just as strong, but then all your enemies but you're going through the whole game again, and all the enemies are stronger and more difficult.
So,
that's cool.
An example
actually.
of it is in the original Legend of Zelda 1, and this I'm sure caused much confusion. If you beat the game, you can then start a new game file, but name yourself Zelda, and then you enter into New Game Plus. And so like the dungeons are randomized, things are just in general more difficult. But that had to confuse people, right? Because you already have people who think that the main character of Legend of Zelda is Zelda. And then in Legend of Zelda 1, New Game Plus was activated by naming your character Zelda. Like they brought this fate upon themselves.
Right.
I'll be honest. I think that... No, I don't think this. How my mind has perceived Clovar is kind of like Prazius New Game Plus.
That's very accurate.
Where it's like, we did it 20 episodes in. Woo, we destroyed the bad guy. Now it's time to actually beat the bad guy, who's like a bigger version of this guy.
I think it's fair.
And not dead. Well, he's not kinda. He's resurrected. He's true resurrected.
Yeah.
Backtracking a little bit. Speaking of Abernathy waiting for an excuse to fight a god, can I just say I love the fact that Abernathy talked to Orgol and basically became a hitman for the gods against other gods.
So I was
a literal god killer
because I was going to wait until Grant had done his thing before I went for my favorite thing. But because there's such an
also going to mention that
because there's such an easy route into it. That was my favorite moment of the party, at least, because here's the thing. I had already known, because on Table Scraps, Drew, you and I had talked about, like, what happens to Cather after this is all over? And a lot of it was like, well, I don't know. It might be who knows, maybe Cather's given a time limit of like a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
4 hours.
I'm just going to preemptively just plane shift to the Gods of Death. I don't know if they have their own place or if they just chill in like a 3-person flat. Like if they just each have their own room or something. They
have like a
split rents.
dishes
I don't know.
rotation.
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know how close they are. Probably not super close, but sometimes weird things happen in.
Well, let me tell you.
You know?
Let me tell you. So this is going to get a lot off track,
Oh,
and
us never.
and I don't think it's a story that I ever got to tell in game, which is a little disappointing.
Just
now that I
wait,
think
Aaron.
about
We'll
it.
get back to you.
No, that's all right. Live your
But
dream.
I'm just
well, but see, I thought of this because of Aaron's comment as to whether or not they even like each other. Because, like, as we all discovered, like Orgal is definitely like the super laid back, chill one.
Super
Like he's
chill guy.
he's definitely the neutral one, right?
Absolute homie.
He's one that everybody knows. He invites everyone to the party.
And the funny thing is, I had created this story, this kind of legend or myth, whatever you want to call it, as to how Fate first was formed by the Gods of Death eons ago, way back in the day. All the Gods of Death, like they all more or less didn't like each other, like especially Azulak and Adaria, they hated each other,
Before you
like
go any
absolutely
farther,
despite each other.
Is this just going to turn into the Gods version of the Breakfast Club?
Maybe. I've never actually watched Breakfast Club,
hope
so I don't know the I
hope
the
that
plot.
there's a dance sequence.
But there was a time, way back in the day when a lich was rising through power and captured Oragal.
Mm-hmm.
And
God, Oracle just gets the short end of the stick.
he does,
time,
really,
dude.
every time. And
Short end of the shovel.
and basically had been causing a lot of mayhem in the realm of the afterlife, basically.
Lots of spring pigs.
Well, because basically,
I wasn't gonna say anything, Grant.
Continue, Drew.
Basically, what was happening was this lich was using Orgal as a catalyst for a ritual to make it so that anybody who died, instead of their souls going to one of the planes for the afterlife, would just get just destroyed and used as fuel for this ritual for this lich to ascend to godhood, basically. And so then Azulak and Adaria had to work together to free Orgal, and that's when and through all that
like, wow,
that's
we
when
make a pretty good team.
Yeah, so that's why Fate was first formed.
And then there was
because of
a
that.
sick dance montage.
And then there was
Now
a
that's a
sick
good
dance
theory, Drew.
montage
Kind of cheesy dance moves.
on the corpse of the lich afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be great. The lich is there too. Well, they all become friends at the end, but the lich does still die. Anyway, so I had already planned.
Yes, I'm sorry, Hans. I haven't watched The Breakfast Club. I'm sorry.
I had already planned to like visit the Gods of Death because my original thing was like, if they give him like a year, that's fine. But Abinthy's just going to go there and be like, all right, here's the deal. I'm not gonna mess with you as long as you let me rent Cather 5 times. I get 5 free Cather rentals. If you don't agree to this, things are gonna go down. I don't know how it's gonna happen. You aren't sure what's gonna happen. And if you kill me now, things are gonna get messed up for you still. Because people are gonna go, oh my goodness, the Gods of Death are just as bad as gosh dang Clovar. They killed one of our heroes.
Uh-huh.
That's not gonna go well.
Uh-huh.
So, simple solution. Just do what I say. We aren't gonna have any problems here.
We're gonna be chill.
And then the Gods of Death were chill for the first time in the campaign, and I was like, "Well, guess I'm just gonna have to freehand this one, buddy." And things turned out very well.
Yeah.
Oh
my goodness.
Abinthy got to like, first of all, talk to someone reasonable for the first time that was a Celestial. That was great. And he was like, you bring up some fair points. I have some fair points of my own. And Abinthy's like, those are some fair points. Had not considered that. let's get down to it. And then he just kept hitting me.
Down to
I felt
business.
like I was at like a
defeat
spring sale.
Gods.
Right,
I got one thing, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll put up a veil, so that way the gods can't interfere with mortals as aggressively." I was like, "Sick, bye." And he was like, "But wait, there's more. For the low price of absolutely free, I'll give you another thing that you want." And I'm like, "Well, sign me up." And he's like, "Oh my goodness, for a limited time offer." And he hits me with a third one.
I'm gonna be honest. When the veil was being talked about, and it was like, oh yeah, and we were like flippantly, oh yeah, the gods can't interact with mortals very much anymore, except for their. That's got to be like a that's got to be a huge change,
that's
right?
a big undertaking.
It's new era title worthy, the era of truth, right? Which I suggested to DJ, by the way.
That was a good one.
So I get credit for that one.
Nice.
But I didn't suggest the veil thing. Just I was like, what if there was a new era? That was my time. I didn't have a name or anything, so he came up with all of the details. But that's what they were talking about. That like my jaw dropped. I was like, this is a big deal.
Well,
that means that Dionysus can't make parties as fun.
Dionysus?
Yeah.
It's also. I do have to apologize because
tell if you're doing it on purpose.
Because let me tell you, Catherine now has one of the most difficult long distance relationships. Now the thing is,
wait, what?
Well,
they can't even have kids.
Catherine is dating a god.
Oh yeah.
And so that makes it really difficult if she just like can't hang out.
That is actually a fair point.
My bad, gang. Ruined a ship on that one.
I imagine, okay, because we didn't, not a whole lot of thought was put into it beforehand. I imagine that some sort of avenue was worked out where they could see each other fairly regularly.
There's a true love clause.
It's
after Catherine dies.
It's the Romeo and Juliet clause.
Well, yeah. So I would like to think that because Abinthy is absolutely about like dramatic, like plays and drama and like all the fancy things, and I feel like he definitely would have written in a clause where it's like, if a god falls in love with a mortal, then they are allowed to break the to pierce the veil.
Ooh,
so to speak,
that's nice.
For the specific purpose of causing drama with said mortal.
Yeah, so
gods are
funny
because that opens up a lot of
but
sketchiness.
it has to be like true love. Like, it can't just be like, oh, they think that they're cute.
We have such a good relevant question in chat. Well,
the veils between gods and mortals affect paladins and clerics. Interesting question, and I can tell you in the second campaign, no. But in the third campaign, also no. In the fourth campaign, maybe. and here's... I can give you some information. How do I want to word this?
How do you say
so I can tell you right now in the third campaign, which DJ will hopefully be running,
15 years down the road,
it will theoretically take place in the 3-year gap during this campaign.
Yeah.
So
it's just a taste. We don't know if that's going to be what's happening, but we
aren't for sure. But
we're licking our finger and feeling the direction the wind is going. You know what I mean?
Mentioned that there may be that we may be in the 3-year time gap on a different location.
For the record, we have no information about campaign 4.
No.
Well, that's my campaign. I was joking about being third campaign. I'm fourth campaign.
Yeah. Now in the second campaign,
it's not true.
It's hard for me to tell you why. It won't. Okay, this is what I
don't give anything away, buddy.
Just leave it there.
Just leave it there.
No. This is the realm of spoilers, Grant. We gotta have people some reason.
Okay, but you have to give us a little something extra. You got to do a little dance.
No.
Yeah, this is
It doesn't make any
Aaron's like,
sense
this is
anyway.
my show. I do what I
Yeah,
want.
I could boot you from this call right now. Switch
Hey,
to 2 people.
chat.
What are you gonna do?
Put a 1 in chat if you want Aaron to do a little jig.
I can ban you. I want you to know. I can do that. I won't.
That is
but
true.
I could.
That is true. Never
Let it be
mind,
known.
guys. Sorry, Mayday.
In second campaign it is in the same universe. Will the veil between gods and mortals affect paladins and clerics? No. Because we'll be dealing with different gods than seen in campaign 1. That's what I'll say.
Well said. Well put.
So no, and we have no idea about 4th campaign. Yeah, thank you, Whipped Cream, for the 2. That's a no.
Oh, that means I have to do a jig?
Banned. Get him out of here. Kick him.
No, don't. I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
But yeah, so I was very satisfied with Abenthy's interaction. He pretty much got everything he wanted, and then the god was like, "Hey, by the way, do you want to kill other gods?" And Abenthy was like, "Oh boy, howdy." Yeah.
3 means
let's
Drew
go.
has to do a jig.
You know the funny thing with that, Aaron, is I low key hope Abenthy invited Cather on some of those expeditions.
Well, yeah.
Because
the original...
Cather totally would have said yes on some of those.
So here's my out of game reason as for why Abenthy was like, I'm going to go barter for Cather rental 5 times, is because we need one-shot content.
That's right.
And
100%.
I would love to revisit the original cast post this campaign, like running some 20th level one shots where
speaking of that, I have some ideas for that I need to talk to you guys about.
We're sitting pretty. Now I don't know how many of these we're going to be able to do, but like Abenthy needs to get married to Glossia, and that's going to be a whole thing. I would love to run a series of one shots that are just busy work that is all building up to the wedding with Glossia, where
It's just
like
literally it's just an episode of a slice of life anime.
Well, no, there has to be
except
one
D&D,
where like on some random guild notice board, there's like a request that is like, hey, we need you to go find a tailor to make a wedding dress for these dimensions, because Abenthy would not make the wedding dress because he wouldn't want to see it before it happens, but he also wouldn't trust anyone other than a tailor to make it.
Sure.
But he's never actually seen a tailor himself. He's never crossed paths with a tailor.
He's always just called himself a tailor without ever finding.
Yeah, I mean,
one.
he's talked to you where he's like, I don't even know if I technically am a tailor. I might just be lying about that. No one knows what it takes to become one, so I just call myself a tailor.
Does Aaron know if he's a tailor?
I keep it a secret to myself. There's a lot of theories that I have where it's like there's a potential that tailors can never cross paths with another one. So the fact that Abenthy has never seen a tailor would be evidence that he is one. But it's also, it could just be that Abenthy's very unlucky.
Or
so
imperceptive.
I mean, Edward met a tailor, so
yeah,
or not Edward. No, Tarek made a tailor.
Yeah,
J.R. Collins, bro. J.R. Collins is the most famous tailor, other than maybe Abenthy.
He's actually not a tailor.
Oh, he's a tinkerer. My bad.
He's a tinkerer.
Semantics.
Very, very different. Very specific. That is, to be fair, I don't have that many one shots I would need Cather. So there would be for sure one where Abenthy's like moving into the same house with Glossia. He's like, God, that's a lot of furniture.
Drew just saw chat.
Yeah. I did just see chat.
And he's like, well, I've got 5 uses of Cather. Might as well bring him in for one.
Here's the funny thing, right? As far as I am aware, when it comes to Cather and him living out the rest of his life, as far as I am aware, the gods of death, in particular, aren't gonna just help him get back for free, right? Mm-hmm. Like they did so many times during the campaign. However, I don't think that means that he can't be brought back.
Well, yeah, but I think that you do still have to abide by the, like, 3
You have to give up
rule.
something you love dearly.
Yeah, like
all memories.
I think that you still only have 3 shots, and I don't think that they've refreshed. So I don't know if you're on 1 or if you're on 0.
That's also fair, actually. But
Got
honestly,
it,
who knows?
got it,
I might be on.
Digimon.
I might be.
You might be
I
in
might.
the negatives right now.
Yeah. You know.
The question is,
Did the gods give up something to revive you?
No, Cather just did.
I wonder if. Well, that's a little unfair. I wonder if Cather
again,
has been
it's the
resurrected more than anybody in the world. Ever.
Anybody in the world?
Ever is a question, because that's a
Yeah.
long time. Because there was a
We
time
don't know.
before,
Well,
like,
I
the
would
gods of
say.
death existed.
I would say that the previous contenders would likely be any of the previous champions of Fate, along with. I mean, yeah, I guess, and then
I just had a character idea.
I don't know how many. I don't know how many other like high standing holy people there have been who have died a lot. You
Well,
know?
I mean, you also have to think pre-trial. Before
Yeah,
the
like-
gods
like
of death
pre-trial.
existed, like those rules weren't really there.
right?
I just had a character idea.
Hit us.
Twins, but they're one character. And one has the kiss of life, the other has the kiss of death.
And they just go around kissing people,
Damage, kiss of death.
getting the kisses.
You need
in.
healed, kiss of.
It's
So okay, wait.
you
So what
walk
makes
up-
them? What makes them twins?
Well, they just
They
were
are
born at
two
the same
people. They just are always. They're always together.
So basically, what you're talking about is
So
but
just
they're one.
twins.
They're one character sheet.
it's just one. It's just the,
Okay,
like,
so you're
one
just
of
play.
us-
You're just playing Smash Bros. And you picked the ice climbers.
The ice climbers, but one has the kiss of life and the other has the
So
kiss of
what,
death.
what you're telling me is you want to play the PC version of the one of us tells only the truth and one of us tells only the lie statues. Except you kill people or heal people.
Yeah, it's
So at
yeah,
some point in
similar.
time, you could show up and you're both they're wearing identical clothes, and it's like I know
think
how
one
we're
is
gonna- I
wearing
know how we're
gray,
gonna
the
do
other
this.
is wearing like yeah.
No, they've got to be identical, because then you walk up and you go, "All right, this is how we're gonna leave this up to fate." One
So
of
you
us,
don't know.
one of us you kiss will cure you from an incurable disease, and the other one will kill you on the spot. Gotta kiss one of us.
It's 50 shot.
This is what you gotta do.
That's fun.
Leave it to a coin flip.
See,
You
the
never
best
want to play spin
actually-
the bottle with these
and
two.
the best part would be actually they themselves don't know.
Yeah, no,
because it
eventually-
changes.
Eventually,
What?
they're just like, I don't even
Yeah.
know.
They're just a hive mind.
Every day that they,
I
wake
don't
up-
like where this is.
Well, I was
going.
gonna say, yeah, it
No.
changes, once every long rest.
Oh,
so
I have a better idea.
it's a 50-50
Maybe it's
shot.
not a better idea. Remember Kissin' Kate from Holes?
Man,
Okay,
you're really
that's not a
diving
very-
deep into the lexicon for that one, Grant.
How like she would.
Are you
put
talking
on
about the movie
lipstick-
Holes?
Yes,
Yeah, the
she would put
movie
on
Holes.
lipstick after somebody dies and then kiss them. Well, hear me out.
yes, I
Instead
do
of
remember
kissing
that
them
now.
after they die, they put on lipstick, but one lipstick is healing magic, the other lipstick is damage. And then they just put on whichever lipstick before they attack.
So my favorite thing, Grant, is that you have like really good ideas, but put in the least marketable package ever. Like you could just say, "Hey, it would
Hey.
be cool if there was like magic items that were like a lipstick set, that one of the lipsticks
Yeah.
would give you a healing kiss, and the other lipstick would give
Wait.
you a damaging kiss."
We sell 2 lipstick in one package. One is light, the other is dark. One's called Kiss of Life, the other called Kiss of
Oh
Death.
my word, Grant. Another one of my favorite moments from this past episode
Thanks, Drew, for keeping us on track
is
today.
before we hit the epilogue portion, we got to see all the characters of
Yeah,
the party
chilling on the
reunited.
balcony.
That was cool. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, so here's a little secret. I might have forced DJ's hand, which I'm okay with, but
Yeah,
I'm just
force his hand.
I'm going to say it because here's what I did. Okay, I typed out like 3 pages of like roleplay / epilogue stuff for Cather, right? That sounds like a lot. It really wasn't. It was just because like one of the things just had a lot of aspects to it that I listed out. Anyway, and then what I did was I texted everybody, Hannah, Ryan, and Lydia, like, hey, we're about to do the last episode of the campaign. Do you want anything in the epilogue for your characters, and each of them gave their little thing or whatever. And then so then I told DJ, I was like, hey, I asked everybody what they want in the epilogue. I think you should totally do it. So I don't know. Now, he might have been planning to do something like that from the beginning. He might not have been. Who knows? But I like to think I contributed in making that happen.
I was wondering, because, I mean, I didn't expect, like, I kind of expected the other characters to, like, make an appearance. But I had not been told anything about, like, yeah, we reached out to previous campaign members. Super cool of y'all to do.
Yeah,
Very
that was
good
that
job.
me.
Really good
Yep.
idea.
Also,
Well-
Havel like floating up and being
Well, because-
like, "Hey,
And here's the thing too, like I didn't know, I wasn't for sure on Havel because like we didn't know necessarily, Havel was the only person that could have actually been dead.
I know.
Like you knew?
Yeah, so I had...
How did you know?
Well, I was hanging out with Ryan.
Okay, well,
when he was still in
correct. So
Norfolk.
now here's the thing. But see, here's the thing. Ryan at that time, it was his own personal headcanon.
No, he's like, I've talked with DJ and we've both agreed that it's both of our headcanons.
get wrecked."
Oh, okay. See,
And
that's the part that I didn't know because he talked to me about the same thing, but he always said it was just his headcanon. He never said he talked to DJ about
Yeah,
it.
he was like, yeah, DJ and I talked and we kind of just both agreed that it was like, he like got sucked into the ocean and then was like, ah! And like woke up on the Feywild and has just been wandering around just covered in salt water. Like trying
Poor
to do
guy.
stuff.
He's done that twice now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
We got to see Namira again.
yeah, I see. Yep. Uh-huh.
Oh my god, correction.
Yeah,
I would like to
shout
change
out.
my answer as to what my favorite moment was. My favorite moment was baiting
yes.
people into thinking that I was going to pull an Abinthy and then baiting them that I wasn't absolutely pulling an
I know what
Abinthy.
you're talking about. Describe that while I go to the bathroom.
So, when when Havel and Namira show up, Namira being the one-armed drow that we met very early in the campaign, that ended up being the reason that Renaya died for the first time, because Renaya and Havel went to go save her from jail. And
In a
didn't tell
supermax
you.
prison.
Yeah.
Yep. I was so mad.
Oh my goodness. Everyone was pretty upset in that one.
And here's the thing, right? Like, I'm just like, this is. I'm sorry, I'm totally just inserting myself into your thing.
Oh, you're good.
But honest, like, I had no issue with the fact that Renaya died. I had no issue with the fact that like Havel used like one of our like rare resources that we had to bring her back. No issue with that. My thing was just like, hey, if you're gonna go do something super dangerous that's really important to you, tell us.
Yeah. Tell everyone. Shout it to the sky. Anyway, so that's who Namira is. Abinthy rolls up and he's like, because I made sure I'm like, let's make sure that everyone has the conversation of like the OG members. Abinthy wasn't a part of the OG, so I'll just wait until the conversation starts to die down. Conversation starts to die down. Abinthy rolls up and he's like, yo, nice to meet you. Heard a lot about you. Surprised you're alive. Really happy about it. By the way, what exactly is your guys' relationship? Like,
I thought that was so funny.
and immediately I could see everyone just went like,
What a degenerate
God dang
Abinthy.
it, Abinthy. And he's like, oh, like we're like, she's my significant other. Not married, but kind of are. And he's like, fantastic. I would love to invite you to like
On a double
help
date.
teach a drow that I know about like drow culture and like have contacts and like learn stuff. Like, how connected are you? He like really gets into it and it's like, oh my goodness.
Completely innocent.
Oh my goodness, Abinthy wasn't trying to absolutely seduce any hot person that walks into the room.
Yeah.
What a turn.
And-
this is so wholesome. And then immediately he's like, you should show up at my wedding with my wife, the Lord of Lust, Lord of the sixth layer of hell. And then DJ's like, kinky. And I'm like, you bet. Want to join in? He's like, yeah, double date. I'm like, yeah. And then everyone's like, God dang it, he's back at it.
And the funny thing is, that's 100% something Havel would have done.
Oh my goodness. I had
100%.
never really thought about like
how much
I-
Havel and Apathy would have gotten
I
along?
think early campaign they would have hated each other. And then after like the 8th time of them realizing that they love the exact same things, they would have been like, is this guy my best friend?
Uh-huh.
And then the answer would have just been yes.
Yes, they just instantly became best
It
friends.
would have been fantastic. But yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah, but it was nice to see.
Oh
It
my
was nice to get
goodness.
all the OG party members back together again, which was fun to see.
Whipped cream.
Whipped cream.
Brings up a
Abinthy
fair
really
point.
did bring up Glossy all
Here's
the
the
time.
thing. Here's the thing. Whipped cream, fair point. If your fiance was the queen of all succubi, would that not be one of the crowning achievements in life? I would bring it up every 5 minutes if I could. I would find a way to loop every conversation to the fact that I am somehow engaged to the literal queen of succubi.
You successfully courted the queen of courting.
Yes. Literally, they would be like, "Oh, hey, Aaron, what did you eat for lunch today?" I'm like, "Oh, I had some mac and cheese." I shared it with my wife, the queen of succubi. Like, any conversation would lead to this. And be like, "Oh, Aaron, how was work?" And I was like, "Oh man, it was pretty all right, but I just couldn't wait to go home to my wife, the queen of succubi." It would be every possible moment.
And
That's how I feel,
I love
but,
it
like-
too because Apathy only has the one version of that line recorded.
Absolutely.
So it's this.
I'll be honest, that's how I feel, but like if I had the most perfect coffee setup,
Yeah.
where I'd be
oh,
like,
man. Oh.
yeah, after work I'm going home to my $5,000 home coffee setup with this coffee from this place.
They're like, "Oh,
That-
hey, you got a raise. What do you plan on doing?"
And this
Well,
brings us full circle because because it's actually a representation of my inner demons and it's my MacGuffin.
Yeah, that is
Oh, my
your
word.
queen of the succubi is just a coffee
Yeah.
machine.
Coffee.
But yeah, so that was my favorite moment. Grant, we've been bouncing around a whole lot. I want to know, in the dinner party, after party, woo, we saved the world. What was your favorite moment as Edward?
Easily the toast. Not the toast they ate. The toast where Edward raised a glass and
Yes.
spoke to everybody.
There was a very heartfelt moment in there for Apathy as well.
Yeah, there was. I actually have it. I wrote some things down like throughout the episode that I wanted
you've
to say.
grown so much as a person and a player.
Yeah. I didn't write it like before the episode, but during the episode I was like, "Ooh, I want to say this now." And one of the things he mentioned during this, well, first of all, it was Edward being like, "I didn't think this was possible. I really didn't. I really believed in defeat. Like that was my faith, basically." He said my faith, or I believed in the faith of defeat or something like that, which is an interesting way to put it. And then he was like, "But now I'm standing in a room full of people I love. My belly is full of drink. My heart is full of gratitude." He's like, "This is amazing."
Wow, look at
And in the
now.
middle of it all, he also said in his, tipsy state, he also says that Abinthy, when he said in Abinthy, he says, "My dear friend," like put a hole in the side of a mountain. But previously in the campaign, Abinthy and Edward, in a touching moment, kind of agreed that they weren't friends in
Yeah.
a strange way, and they were both happy with that. It was after what's his name got really upset at Abinthy,
Yorwick. Yeah.
Yorwick, and Abinthy was broken and distraught, and Edward goes out and is like, "You can leave if you want. Like, you don't have to stick around. Like, it's okay. I get it. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, basically." And then they were both basically like, "We aren't friends, and that's what both of us need." They were like, "We both need someone who's like not a friend who can just like be around." And of course, the underlying tone is like they need each other, and they are. But they had never said that. So during that toast at the end, Edward actually saying that Abinthy is beloved to Edward
Yeah.
is really sweet to me. It being said in the public like that, and then Abinthy coming back and saying, "Your toast
Well, yeah,
I was thinking about things that your
literally
toast made
that
me think
line
about.
kind of dictated some of the things that I did in the rest of the episode with Abinthy, with like, hey, my like Talanashta, I do not want her to become like me. And so, and I told this to Grant, he never actually said it, but Abinthy did that because in his mind, there would be no better person to teach Talanashta to be a good person than Edward.
That's so sweet.
And so, like, he's like, hey, can we, like, stay with you? Because at this point in time, Abinthy is, like, completely rewriting who he is as a person. So he doesn't have the capability to do that and raise someone else. And he's like, I need time to figure out who I am, and I don't want to sacrifice the people that I love in order to do that. So I'm going to go to the one person that I, like, trust to, like, lead people in the right direction, which is Abinthy, while I figure out who I am in the meanwhile.
You mean Edward?
Edward, sorry. Abinthy does believe in himself, though. But yeah, so that's kind of why he went towards Edward there. Also, slight deviation, because I love this this comment from Whipped Cream. Favorite tropes, person who loves their wife. I love that trope. Any character who, like, their main motivation is just, I just love my wife. It's, like, the best. It's so good. Anyone who's just like, nope, I just love my significant other. That's where I am. My wife, man, she's great. Do any of you guys
have a question.
have a trope like that you just absolutely love?
That's a good question. I don't know, but I was also going to ask, what was your character's, I mean, not trope, but what was your character's one thing? I guess now that's interesting to me. Like, what was the one thing? Their bond, I guess, their fundamental thing. As far as a trope, I like,
I mean,
I don't know, let me think.
I'll say, I enjoy the what's the common phrase for this? I don't want to say the goody two shoes, but
The hero?
I like
I like boy.
well, sure.
He-Man.
I normally call it the
so like, you know, like
yeah.
the superhero, like the Superman, like Captain America kind of trope of like the perfect hero, kind of in a sense.
Political, Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah.
I'm just
Thanks, Grant. Thanks for just, you know, hyper exposing me there. I mean, I was also gonna bring an example of like Deku from like My Hero Academia, but whatever. But like I kind of like that trope. I definitely base Cather on that trope.
Well, yeah.
Just because, like, while I do understand that there's a lot of interest, especially in modern culture, about more complex character arcs, I also like the simplicity of just somebody who knows what's right and is going to do that thing.
Yeah, so I literally refer to it as the He-Man archetype, where, like, I've talked about this a lot, where, like, current modern plot involves a lot of, like, morally gray characters, where every villain has to be like, well, they're a villain because of this, and every hero has to have, like, a dark side. But if you look at, like, He-Man is so fun to watch, and it's literally He-Man is good guy, Skeletor is bad guy, and there's never any question as to why is He-Man good or why is Skeletor bad. You just go into it and you're like, that's He-Man. He's doing the good guy things. That's Skeletor. Right. Boo, Skeletor. And I love that archetype. I know my favorite.
Literally, I think, and I apologize if this seems surface, but I think it's actually true. My favorite arc, or like, trope. My favorite trope is literally like, I do this because I have this very specific niche passion that's a little bit funny. That's my favorite. Like, I mean, that's kind of you want to be the best cook in the world, you know?
Yeah.
I love that kind of thing. I want to be someone who I want to be the best juggler there ever was. Like, usually it's like the best blank or something. And I just think that is so funny in terms of like traditional group that's traveling, because it seems like that goal is disjointed
Yeah, where you
but
have a
like
bunch of
it's
people
their
where
bond.
It's like, I am on a journey to avenge my family by killing the one who slayed them. I am here to find the lost minds of my people. I really like plate spinning. And let me tell you, I don't want to say that I'm
so
gonna
funny.
be the best in the world, but I'm gonna be the best in the world.
It's just
Or it's like
I-
I've heard of the secret herb that enhances every single cooking set, and I'm just looking for that herb.
Yeah. I'm here to
That's
find
their whole point.
I'm here to find the spinning plates of Celestune. And they're like, who? And you're like, it's
love
an
it.
ancient legend to my family.
Those are my favorite ones.
Oh, the
They're so
Unchosen
funny.
One trope. Oh my god.
What is that?
Oh, I created a character that was an unchosen one. I did that.
What
I-
does that mean?
So obviously, you know the chosen one trope, where it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
by destiny, they have been sent here from the future to protect the past.
Anakin.
Yeah, the Unchosen One is just like the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Would that be Anakin? Well, okay,
No,
that's
no.
getting into the weeds because theoretically the prophecy was right about Anakin.
No. The
No,
Unchosen
Anakin was
one
the chosen one.
is literally
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
It's similar to your plate spinner, where like you have
Oh.
the group, or my plate spinner, I should say, because I was the one who used the plate spinning thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like you have the group of people who were like chosen by God to like do this thing and like prevent the demon lord, and then you have like Greg. Like,
Okay, I see. So that would be me
It's-
playing Craig in the Santa one shot.
dude, it's literally Edward, dude.
It's like an anti-character. Yeah,
You're Edward.
it's essentially just like
You
a,
aren't meant to be
filled
there,
with
not
cement.
the hero, but you are the one
Oh
that
shoot,
ends up
that
there
is
and deal
Edward.
with it all and
Edward
finish the
started
quest.
off as the Unchosen One, and then kind of became
you
the
kind
chosen
of ended
one.
up there. But
Yeah.
I,
But
I
he's definitely
absolutely
started
agree.
as Unchosen energy.
I love when it's like you have a bunch of people that are like, oh, anytime I've DM'd a lot of groups, and very often, and it's most of the time it's when you have a bunch of new players and then one like person who's played often and often with you, where you have like the new players and they're like, we're playing the Lost Mines of Fandelver. Already it includes the name Fandelver, so I know what type of short campaign this is going to be. It's fantasy. I've seen Lord of the Rings. I'm going to play Glissendoer, the high elf of distant lands. And like you have all these people and they're like playing like elves and dwarves and halflings and they have swords and spears. And then you have one guy who's like, I'm Glip Glop. I'm
I'm a centaur.
I'm a centaur, and let me tell you, I throw hands. And you have, so like in conversation, it's a bunch
I'm a
of people that-
WWE centaur.
yeah, and so like in the
Glip-glop.
campaign, you'll have people talking, and they're like, "Glisten glower, throw your spear quickly, harrow forward." And then you have Glip Glop, who's like, "All right, who's ready to catch this fade?"
Or he's like,
it's an
he's like,
immediate switch.
he's like, I climb onto the branches of the tree like they're high ropes in the WWE
And you're like, he's like,
cage,
I know,
and I do a suplex on the guy.
You're gonna do a
and it's just a
moonsault.
horse.
It would be
It's
a
just a horse
moonsault.
falling on the guy.
yeah.
He's like, I put my mask on. Yeah.
Please
I do-
recognize the correct moves of the WWE.
Grant, that
I
would
don't
be
know.
that would be actually really hilarious if you did have like a centaur monk who like grew up and like in this village who had like this elite like wrestling club, and like it was his dream to become like this professional wrestler like all these other people, and he knew all the moves but he couldn't perform any of them, and so then he would pretend to do something and then just fall on them.
The question is,
Let me do you one better. Nacho Libre. It's been done.
is it easier or harder to put a horse in an ankle lock? Because it has more ankles than a human.
No.
does.
You're misunderstanding. It's a WWE for only centaurs.
No. I'm just asking you, if you were to, okay. Question: if you were,
Well, obviously harder.
if you were
It's a
really good
horse.
at MMA, and you stepped into a cage fight with a horse, would it be easier to put the horse in an ankle lock than a human?
No. No.
Because
They have
it
4
has-
ankles. They weigh like over a ton.
But dude, that's so many ankles.
So your argument is that
Do you
there's
think it's
more
easier?
percent chance that like you grab an ankle?
I'm saying that if you shoot towards a horse, they have no
Okay.
arms to stop you.
You're saying it would be easier to take down a horse than a
No.
person if you go for the
if
ankle.
you go for like a BJJ, you like
What
like, you
is
shoot
that?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You move
Oh.
in and then you hit him with like a flying like
Okay, you're bobbing and weaving.
like an Izamaru roll into like a reverse ankle lock. I think that you could ankle lock a horse.
How do you?
You could
This
ankle
doesn't
lock a
work.
horse, but you could only lock one of their ankles.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like I'm not
Bro,
saying that
the
you're
horse
going
would
to
start
win the
running
fight. I'm
and
not
you'd
saying
be like
mean that you
dragged
can't do
around. You'd probably be
anything.
stepped on.
Here's the thing-
The horse
yeah,
can
here's the
take
thing,
one
though.
step backwards and you die.
Here's the thing, though. If you do break a horse's leg, they like die on the spot, dude.
You know how little kids will like grab onto their dad's leg
that
while their
can't
dad
be true.
walks? That's
no
how I
way
picture it
that's
would
true.
happen.
They can't
with
do
a horse.
anything, dude. That's why they put down horses that like break a leg, or they used to. They don't do that as much anymore.
Okay, if you manage to break the horse's leg, then sure.
I
but
think you're in a really good
I don't-
spot.
Oh, I see. If you like grab the knee and then grab their ankle and push and pull at the same
Yeah,
time.
if you put him in an ankle lock and just go straight for the break. Exactly.
I
Whipped
don't
cream's
like
on my
this.
side. It's a cage match. The horse can't run. Where are they gonna go? In a circle? Are they
It's gonna
trot a
it's gonna
little
kick
bit?
you in the head. That's what it's gonna
Not
do.
not if you're in front of it.
I think you'd
Like,
have a
you hit one ankle lock on a horse.
Okay,
and
but
it's
freaked
done.
out horses.
You do
if
realize
the
a
is
horse could hit
scared,
you
like-
from the front or from behind, right?
Oh, see, that's
Nay.
handskate. That's exactly the sound that the horse will make when you put the ankle lock on it.
Because
If the
because-
horse is
Aaron,
blindfolded, it's
here's the
GG's.
problem.
You win.
Here's the problem, Aaron. As soon as you get close, either from the front or the side, it kicks you in the face.
Well, here's the thing: if it rears up for the kick, that's when you shoot for the back leg.
That doesn't
Because
sound like
it's
it works.
it's rearing, it's rearing up. That
Yeah,
means
but
that
it's
the bank-
what goes up
And
must
I'm
come
just saying-
down. This thing is hundreds
Well, you
and
gotta
hundreds of
time it right.
pounds.
You gotta time it right, Grant. It's not just you're just walking. This is basic. What we're talking
This
about.
is a quick time event.
What we're talking about is real life. It's real life Dark Souls, pretty much. Because we
rolling
don't have
under the
giant
house.
people with swords. The closest thing we have.
All
is
right,
horse.
here's the thing. If you pick up the bat that's hidden under the stairs, you're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
And the thing is
Okay.
getting
We're
so
talking
close
about-
and
Okay,
using your
we are way
hands.
off topic. We're not
It
even
can't be that
remotely
easy
talking
to
about
break a
DZ
horse's
anymore.
knee, dude. Breaking
still
a horse's
have-
knee
we
can't
still
be
have a
easy.
whole
It's not like
episode
you
to talk
break a
about.
carrot.
Thank you.
It's
We
for
still
the
have a
bits.
whole
me.
episode to talk
Thank
about.
you for the bits, whipped cream. Have fun walking.
Have
your
fun
dog.
walking your dog.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting with
Remember,
us.
if you need to wrestle a horse, go for the ankle lock because it's the only chance you have.
Anyway,
Disagree.
Well, what else?
So back
what other option
back
do you have, Grant?
back to the episode. Grant, what was
Yeah.
your favorite moment? Was the toast? Was there anything else?
What are you gonna do? Punch it in the face? No.
Well, I have two different Edward things that I like that happen. The first one is as he was fighting the truths, and I didn't plan this beforehand, maybe you can tell in the live version, but like there was a point where Edward basically gained the perspective of Lon and Tari at the
Yes.
point in the trial.
Yes,
And I actually thought that was really neat.
I thought that
Where-
was a great touch.
Edward now sees the world as worthy of judgment, and he is grieving that. He's heartbroken by it. But
I
the
did
hope
expect
of the
you.
world,
I did
kept
expect
him
you
from doing
at
it.
some point to repeat the line that a mother weeps for her lost child. I did expect you to pull that line out, but you didn't do it.
Grant already doesn't.
Bro,
remember what
you
you're
ex-
talking about.
no, I remember that now, but yeah, no way, man. That's a little too high level for your good old neighborhood boy.
He's just a wee lad.
He's just
Yeah.
a wee lad.
But I like that a lot, actually.
I thought that was a very good. It was a very good. Touch.
And when he is in the middle of fighting the truth and he's experiencing the pain and the anger and he is fighting against the urge to judge the world and destroy it, the things that would soften Edward's heart were like looking at a child or noticing nature, like the beauty and the innocence of the world. And that would keep Edward What, Aaron?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just imagining you're like,
What?
Edward's standing there and he has the rod. He's like wrestling with the power over the truth. The truth is like raring against the chains that bind it. And you would see Edward's face darken, and then some random child just go, Jesus Christ, just running for their lives. And Edward looks over and he's like,
See, Aaron,
where are you getting
I
this
was,
child from?
I was,
Where are they coming from, dude?
That's a good point.
see, I was holding back laughter too, just mostly for the notion of like Edward, who's like very serious, just wrestling with this truth, and then all of a sudden, like a puppy, get distracted by something and be like, "Oh, look at that cute little thing!" And it's like, no, Edward, there's the truth
like,
in front of you.
He thinks of a funny
an
joke.
emergency child with us.
Yeah,
Quick, Edward, look at the baby! Look at the baby, Edward!
Edward's getting upset. He just whips one out of his bag.
The sun's getting real low. Pulls out a baby from the bag of holding.
Just like an 8-year-old. Just like a whole child. And they're like, I don't know how I got here. I'm going to be 100% honest.
They're like, ah!
Why would you bring me into a war zone? Oh my god.
Edward's face. Yeah, okay.
Like,
that's
where are
good.
these
That's
children
pretty funny.
coming from? They're just crawling out of the dirt.
Literally in my head, I was like, a family. A fawn. Running through the field, but I didn't think of it like that. I was like, yeah, where are these
pure
things?
fear that things would be like under effect, where it's like this giant monster
true.
is crawling its way out of the ground, and
just like a
don't
kid.
worry though, this graceful elk is standing in the middle of the forest. Oh my god!
Oh, that's pretty
God,
good,
that's
actually.
just wonderful. I love
So
when your
I like
brain
that.
goes
I
with
like
things. I just think it's fantastic.
The last thing was obviously his death. To
Yes.
those of you who haven't watched it, spoilers, sorry.
I have been absolutely holding off on that to as long as we can, so that way, if anyone who hasn't seen it were to be here, then they would maybe have left by the time we did, and it worked. Because whipped cream is 2
gone,
episodes behind,
and they hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Edward died.
they've got 10 minutes. Probably
before
longer
we
because they have little
do-
tiny lungs.
Do we talk before we talk about Edward's death? Because I do think we should wait to talk about that to the end.
What else do we have?
Is this not the end?
Do we
I
have
mean, I'm
anything
just making
else?
sure. I want to make sure that this is the end.
Oh, I
and this
should
is like
say
the last thing that we want to talk
things
about.
that we
That's
accomplished.
fair. That's fair.
After
Yeah.
the campaign, like kind of where we all ended up on. That was really cool to hear, really interesting. Apathy getting to basically just erase himself from existence.
Oh,
and
that
then
was
he
cool.
becomes a teacher. And so him becoming a teacher is actually, I've known that Abinthy would become a teacher since before I was playing Abinthy, because it was in very early one-shots. In the first kind of play that we had in this world, I played Abinthy, and he was a professor at a college. And so I knew that I'm like, I'm going to get Abinthy into a professor position at some point in time. So that was really fun. Cather, what all did Cather end up doing after? I mean, I know that you rebuilt Gambit's Keep.
Yeah, a decent amount. I mean, rebuilt Gambit's Keep was one of them. Tried to spend some time with Talanasha and working on. I mean, one, just teaching her more about the Drow, but also two, like kind of trying to work out some sort of peace with certain factions of the Drow. Don't know necessarily how successful I was with that. But then, I mean, the rest of it is more just kind of general things, you know. I mean, like at one point he did put together. And this would likely be a one shot, either as special content or something else, of putting together an elite task force to fight the Soul Stealer, good old Valash Shataran. Because let me tell you, that's my one regret, is not fighting him. But it's okay. Now it's extra content.
It is a heartbreaker. Now we have something to do. Anki!
Hey, Anchored, welcome.
Man, you missed a time earlier. Whew.
Yeah, you did.
Oh my gosh, we were laughing so hard.
Also,
And then I suppose the other thing I worth mentioning, I suppose, would be that for all the Melora Cather shippers out there, uh, the two of them did rebuild their friendship and got to spend a decent amount of time with each other,
Oh.
you know, in the following years, I would say. And finally got to visit the place where her family died, which is something which is significant because that is something that Hannah and I years ago now at this point had mentioned doing, like around like just after I think just after when we got out of the Feywild for the first time, I think. And we had I in some sort of conversation it was brought up, but then we had to like go to Catan, and then from Catan we went to Morencia right away.
Gross.
And it was just it never had time for it. So that was something that I that was a nice detail for me mostly,
Yeah.
you know.
Two things. First off, that's a very good example. Handsgate, Unchosen
I love
one.
Sam's story.
Sam, Lord of the Rings, very good example.
I love Sam.
Second, I just want to bring up the comparison between Drew and I, because DJ like asked all of us. He was like, "Hey, could you send me like what plans do you have for the last episode? What do you want your character to do? Any conversation stuff that you want to have? Blah 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 blah." And he messaged me. He was like, "Hey, could you send me a rough idea of what you want to do?" I went, "K," and it was 1.5 paragraphs. And it has 3 pages.
You know, Aaron, and here's the funniest part about this. Here's the funniest part about this.
Better
Aaron,
laugh.
is the fact that literally this exact same thing happened, but in reverse for Between the Rows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
When
literally,
all you
like
said
literally,
was,
it
"I
was
want
just
the
like
cannon."
Aaron's just like, "Hey, what do you do? What does Crowbar do?" And I'm like, "I don't know.
You're
I help rebuild this the order.
Build a tank.
I want to build a tank."
Build a tank. That's gonna go down in history.
And-
That's the best character ending. I
and you
built
know
a
what?
tank.
And it was worth it because then in season
comes
3,
back, doesn't it?
Crowbar had his tank.
I know. I had to throw it because I for years in that I was like, no, you don't build a tank. Tanks are for winner. Do you feel like a winner? And they were like, I feel like a winner. I'm like, well, then you feel wrong. You're not a winner. And then it hit campaign 3, and I was like, I gotta give him a tank.
Yeah, come on, it's so sweet.
But Grant, Edward's plans, and then that'll lead into what's going on. Tell me, I know some things that you accomplished that I remember having talked to you about earlier in the campaign, and you're like, oh yeah, that is a very fair point, and I was so pumped that you included them. But
I thought your decision with the orcs was interesting.
that's exactly what I was talking about.
I've literally been planning on that since the orcs got land in October.
See, here's the interesting thing. What I thought originally,
we haven't even said what
going to
happened with
do-
the orcs, though.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, but what I originally thought you said, what I thought you were gonna do was you were gonna make it so the wastes were like lush again.
I thought that's what you were going for too.
I wasn't gonna do that because did I mention that the orcs didn't want that to happen? Because that's the reason it didn't happen.
Well, yeah,
because the orcs in the west elected that they keep the wastes the way they are.
So yeah,
that's the reason it didn't happen.
I had talked with you previously, and because you were asking me like what would like Tarak's thoughts on some of these things with the orcs be, and this was like almost directly after the 3-year time skip that you were kind of talking about that, and I had mentioned like I don't know if Tarak would have been super pumped about the wall, but he would have understood it. But he wouldn't have been super excited about it because all it is a new representation of a cage.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then later we were talking about the waste, and I'm like, I don't know if the orcs would like if the waste was changed, because like the wastes are theirs because they were unwanted. And so like the harshness of it is what makes them who they are. And so like I don't know if the orcs would want it to return to Prairie Land. And so I'm super glad that you didn't. I'm pumped about
plus, in the philosophy of the orcs, that event would be again outside of their choice.
Yep.
And like at this point now, especially with the land in Oclaron, in my head, the orcs in the west are choosing to reside in the wastes, which in their heads is another layer of freedom for them. They're like, oh, we choose to be here. And so in my head, it would also be against kind of the fundamental like principles of nature or orcish culture.
Yeah.
To like just decide for the wastes to be different.
Yeah. Like it would be
so-
best if it weren't like this.
Yeah. At least like in my head, Edward consults with orcs, and that wasn't clarified. But in my head, he consults with orcs, and they decide that they don't want the wastes restored.
Yeah.
Now, at least like majority or whatever, I don't know, or the leaders or something. But I gave I gave DJ a bullet list of 4 items. That's what I did. I did talk to him on the phone a bit too, but I gave him just a very short bullet list of like these are the things I want to do. First was like tame the big bad truths, which eventually like we cleaned him up.
Yep.
Second was I am an international consultant for international like
Yeah, you were an advisor.
debacles. Advisor of sorts.
Yeah.
Which I really liked because it accomplishes 2 things for Edward. One is he continues traveling, continues doing miscellaneous things, and it's very vague. Like, what does consultant mean? Does he just go and help mitigate things? Yes, that's what I said, is Edward goes and mitigates. But does that just mean that he meets with leaders, or does that mean that he's participating in battles? Who knows? And I kind of left that open-ended because in my head, Edward's journeys are like, there's a lot of variety to what he does. He's like, yes, he is a political figure that like helps figure things out and define things, but he's also this like by night the Pied Piper /
By day,
super capable warrior
with a sword and spells.
Yeah. And so I also left it in there with Abinthy that Abinthy and Edward are still doing the Chosen events.
Oh yeah, dude.
Also in my head, this whole thing is like the Chosen is probably a little more public now.
Oh yeah,
And
people know about it.
Edward is functioning as also like a chosen consultant for international things, and also still as the Pied Piper doing like hush hush things for the Chosen that shouldn't be public. And Abinthy as the rat with the rat signal being 5 clicks, which is hilarious.
That was super funny.
That is still something they do together. So yeah, Drew, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Well, with what you brought up, it reminded me of something that I think is really cool, and I genuinely hope is touched on at least to some degree. You know, probably years down the road at this point, because who knows, like, because we already kind of have an idea of what campaign 2 and 3 are going to look like and when those are going to happen. And so it might be a while before something like this would happen. But I do like the idea because, like, while it wasn't necessarily talked about a lot, you know, in each of our epilogues, you know, with Abinthy, Cather, and Edward, like all of them are still relevant for a decent amount of time within the mid-hero plane and like kind of the politics of all the nations. And so I do love the idea of like them all individually becoming as renowned just on their own as they were all together as Fate's Gambit, like taking down Clovar. Like the idea of Cather really rising to the ranks like in his home nation and like becoming like kind of like, oh, he's, you know, Cather of Rivaluna, like the, you know, the champion of their guard, right? And
and he was a part of that Fate's Gambit thing.
Oh yeah, and he was also that guy once upon a time too. Just because like it, especially with the notion of like the mortal realm governing itself more, it feels more significant then, because then it's like, okay, these are the mortals that are governing the mortal realm, you know. And obviously with Abinthy it's a little different since Abinthy purposely, you know, kind of took steps back to only be involved when immortals are involved.
So
I really like that point where it's like we're kind of filling the void of the gods not interacting with the plane.
Yeah. And
That's cool.
To add on to this a little bit, to clarify some as to how, because I've thought a lot about what exactly it means for Abinthy to not interfere in mortal affairs now that he's immortal. Literally, if all mortal life was about to extinguish itself, but it had no immortal hands in it, Abinthy would do nothing to stop it.
Yeah.
Like, if all life was just going to be extinguished, but there were no gods, demons, devils, or fae that were, like, causing it, Abinthy would be like, well, guess that's just how it ends up.
GG.
Like,
GG, fan.
okay.
Edward's like, or Abinthy is like on a beach, like watching the comet like approach the planet slowly, and he's just like sipping on a martini.
He has his ray of meteor destruction off to his right hand side, and he's like,
he puts on his solar eclipse glasses and watches the comet grow larger.
Yeah, it literally like I imagine a point
energy.
in time where like adventurers find Abinthy and they're like, please, we need you to help us with this thing. And Abinthy's like, is there a god involved? And they're like, no, it's just my evil uncle is trying to ascend the throne. And he goes, no.
I saw a simulation.
This is more or less the interaction that I want to happen in like a theoretical campaign for instance. Like I want it to be that like the party is like low key sponsored by like Edward. Like it's like super hush hush, right? And then like they get like to level like 10 or something, and they meet Cather, and like he helps them in like some cool awesome battle, right? And then they keep going. They get to like level 15, and they meet Abinthy. It's like, oh my goodness, Abinthy, you're the perfect guy to help us like take out the evil Wizard King. And he's just like, sorry guys, I can't do it.
He's like, here's my question: is the wizard a lich? And they're like,
no, he's just
a really powerful wizard. I'm like, are any of his parents gods, demons, or devils that would cause him to have an unlimited lifespan / immortality? No, he for now he'll just die a mortal death in like 80 years. I'm like, nothing I can do for you.
Sorry guys, I can't.
And then like one of them is like, wait, hold on, didn't he say that he was trying to like resurrect the demon of the second layer of hell? And everything's like, I'm on it.
I saw a simulation of what it would look like from Earth if a giant banana was rotating around Earth. And I'm talking like colossal size. Like I saw a simulation of what it would look like, both from the ground and in space. And my point is that if there was a giant banana that size, like orbiting Earth, and it meant the end of the world, Abinthy would just watch the banana happen.
Yeah. Now, if the banana was put there by ancient space gods,
now it's that.
Now it's I'm blowing up that banana.
Yeah. Yeah, that banana's going right in Abinthy's mouth. He's gobbling it up.
He's going in.
He is. Yeah.
That's his full title, Abinthy Banana Gobbler.
Peel shedder.
The gobbler of bananas. Also, Anki and everyone else watching, I want you to know I live with this. This is a person that
Okay.
Like 60 feet away.
Aaron, although you can't complain too much.
I did choose this.
Because here's the thing. One, you did choose this. And two, you have gone on record multiple times of stating how you have not seen Grant or your other roommate in days.
That does happen.
It is, well, okay, that's more on the fact that Grant is really busy right now. Dude, you've been running some late nights, dog.
Yeah.
I come home at like 9. I'm like, time for me to walk into my house filled with 2 people. I look, and Grant's car's out of the driveway. I'm like, what did Grant doesn't
We'll have
do?
evening meetings quite often for my job. But, so, you know, Abinthy, right?
Meaning that you're around Edward. During the day?
No. You know... No. It's a mix of things, you know. Some things I do because they're fun. Some things I do because it's work. But I'm just, you know. Meanwhile, we have like a room in our house that I've been painting for probably almost 3 months.
So you haven't been painting for almost 3 months.
Yeah, our living room is just combined with our dining room.
We have moved all of the furniture from one room into the other room, and it's just sitting there.
Since the week before August 26th, I think. So it's been a couple months.
That's something about that, yeah.
Okay, so Edward, he does this consulting slash like vigilante or like hero warrior situation for like a long time, decades. And he's with Sam in Athala at the time, and Nifendil living at his keep. Abinthy and Talanashta join them for a lot of that time, and they're happy but busy, right? It's still doing that whole like, oh, it's time to like function as a god now that there's a veil, kind of doing international affairs. Then, and I actually love this next part. Abinthy moves to Vianola,
Edward
which
moves to
I don't.
Vianola. Abinthy probably goes and is a professor at Lightsbridge Academy.
That's what I'd figure. And he moves there with Sam, and they live in a cottage, a very humble, simple cottage. And Nifendil also lives in the village, in her own little cottage nearby. In the campaign, they never visited Vianola. And Vianola is where Nifendil, Edward's mother, is from. It's the home of the Wood Elves. It is a place where there's nature and magic and like handmade goods, and it's very like pleasant.
Melora was kind of from there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, her family was. That's like, so Nifendil was her aunt.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah. And Nifendil didn't have a great reputation, but a lot of time has passed, and so they live like very quietly there, sort of. I mean, I think Edward still does some things for like the Chosen and whatnot, and he's like consulted and whatnot, but generally he elects to live there quietly with Sam, and they have children.
So what age does Edward retire?
So that's a good question. In my head, they probably worked in Athala for like many decades, maybe between like 40 and 50 years, or maybe 30 minimum. I don't really know.
30 and you end up somewhere around 57, 63, which is pretty typical.
And Sam is human. So Edward's life kind of follows Sam's lifeline. So like when Sam gets into a mid to late like 40s, right? That's when they move to Vianola, and they have children, and they raise the children. Edward, for an unknown amount of time, because I didn't clarify during the episode, lives older than he expected as a half-elf. So half-elves, what? They're like 150? Is like kind of old for a half-elf?
120 to 150 is usually the range. I'd say 150 is more on the high end.
So in my head, Edward would probably live to like 180, something like that. Like his life just went on, and he just continued living.
He's like Bilbo.
Like in the Green Mile.
Yeah, totally. Maybe even longer. I didn't specify that his children would be dead. Theoretically, they would still be alive. They might be doing things in the world at the time that Edward passed.
Your mom's probably still alive.
That's possible.
Since she's an elf.
Yeah, because elves live to be like 800 years old.
Well,
yeah,
like 500
that's theoretically a thing. I didn't really think of that, but Sam was definitely dead. So Edward was living quietly in this village for a long time after Sam had passed away. Maybe like a century. And Edward throughout that time was writing stories of things that he had experienced with Faith's Gambit and after, and then also a collection of stories he gathered as he was traveling. That and songs. He was writing songs too. And throughout this time, I mean, Edward's living in this village for so long. In my head, that is like Edward's time to live happily and live a normal life and like be unimportant. When you all visited him, he was in like normal clothes. He had like wooden furniture that was like crudely made. He was living in this tiny cottage. A straw bed. And like that is where Edward ended up. And when he was fighting, or when he was talking to Lon and Tari, he said the line, "Why do I have to protect the world when all I want to do is be in it?" And this, in my head, is Edward's ideal ending, which is he is enjoying his life, loving the people in his life, loving where he is, writing stories and sharing songs, doing the things that deep down he cares about, being just an everyday person. And so I really loved that ending. And then this everyday person then being visited by gods and incredible people of history for his death. I loved what you guys said for Edward's death, by the way. Like, I didn't expect that. I really thought Edward would just die after you read the names. But the fact that you two, and I it may have been somewhat improv, I know, like Aaron's was, but what both of you said was like spot on for how I felt about Edward's mark on the world. And so I really thought that was well done.
Well, yeah,
I was
and
very happy with it.
Drew, you did a fantastic job with like reading the names.
Thank you.
Some behind the scenes, it was a real joy to like coach Drew
man.
through how to speak Orcish names correctly.
It was rough.
And eventually, I mean, you nailed it in the show. The phonetics, I think, really helped.
Oh,
Where
100%.
writing
I was
out
literally
you're
like,
uh-huh.
I'm literally double checking before I say, like, literally, like in the moment, like I take my time saying each and every name and each part of it because I'm literally rapidly scrolling through the history of the Zoom chat.
I could feel it in my bones. You like said the name and then you would scroll down to see what the name was in common.
Well,
Just
because
also-
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I had all the names and I had the phonetics in order, but then Grant at the very end told me what the names meant, and so I had to scroll back and forth all the way up
awesome.
and all the way
So
down
good.
for each and every name.
So I think you kind of vamped by saying like I present to you, but I loved that.
Oh, yeah, it
I thought
was
that was
a
so
very
cool.
good
It felt
way of
like
saying it.
kingly. It felt
Yeah.
like kingly.
Well, that
the way
was-
you did it.
Well, yeah, and that was kind of just in the moment. I thought to myself, okay, how would Cather present? How would Cather say all these names? And it did feel very natural to say, okay, well, here's basically this king, so this lord, and so like in any sort of occasion, you would say, I present to you, sir, whoever, yada yada yada, and so, and I wanted to make it, but the thing is, I didn't want to just list all the names either. Which is why I did it, I present to you Edward so-and-so, I present to you Edward, so-and-so over and over again, because
I love
I
that.
wanted to give import to each individual name because each of them were, significant.
And it
The
ended up
names, by the way. Oh, go ahead.
well, it ended up feeling very much like they were individual people, which is really cool because it's like it showed not only the progression that we didn't even really get to see of Edward. So it kind of told a story of what happened in his life post the campaign, but also felt like almost phases of his life where he was almost completely different people. Like Edward Lul Kulkadar is a very different person than Edward
Shun
Final
reconciled.
Respite and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, and so that was a very cool way of going about it that I think
thought it was
lended
great.
to a very good moment. Very
To
good
bring a
Yeah.
teeny bit of context to the names thing, orcs get 5 names throughout their lives, and the idea behind it is that they discover their own names, but names are also given to them
Yeah.
by like older orcs
So,
and stuff. You can
I got it.
you can take it from here. I was just gonna make
my
it brief.
realm. So orcs have 5 names, and kind of in their culture, they believe that they aren't names that are given to you. They are names that you've always had and always have been yours. But most of the time, people, the elder orcs, the Tanar, are better at revealing those names to you. But it is not necessary for them to do so. It's possible that you find them yourself.
I like that.
Oftentimes, like the 2 main ways that you can go about it is having your name uncovered by one of the Tanar, or it can be a name that is found amidst battle. So if you are in battle and are like at the very end, you can be like raised up on the shields, and then your name will be shouted by the orcs below you, and that will be the name that has always been yours.
That's so cool.
But
That's
it's also
so
it's
sick.
not unheard of to like be on a journey and discover your name yourself.
Like a spiritual journey of sorts.
I mean, it can literally just be like something happens and you end up alone and you discover what your name is.
Yeah,
And then when they go back to
correct.
the tribe, being like,
Yeah, I mean,
this is
because
what it
Drek
is.
discovered just kind of spontaneously his last name.
Yeah. And so that's kind of always been the case. So it was, you did a fantastic job, and you had talked with me about like, how does it work? What exactly does it entail? And I got to like translate what they would be and stuff like that. So that was fun.
Which was awesome. And you kind of nailed my idea for the names with Edward, where it kind of describes Edward's progression as a character after the campaign. Because as he goes, he discovers these names, obviously, until the very end, which is his last name. And one of them, I'll read them real quick. So it's Edward Lul Kul Kodar, which is Dragonflower. Edward Dog. I'm not gonna
Long
read the
vowels.
It's yeah. I know. It's Edward Dragonflower, Edward the Listening, which would be what we knew as Edward during the campaign at the very end when he was like listening and he had the Mote of Creation. Edward Final Refuge. In my head, this is also tied to that, but it's also taking care of the world after, like, as the truth era is around. He's also kind of the final refuge as keeping the world together like duct tape. Edward Shun Reconciled. That says so much to me. That to me is Edward accepting himself and his past and the people in his life. Like, that is true acceptance, true reconciliation with himself and the world and his history. And then Edward Hosharum is at peace, which is his last one, which is something he gained in the end of his life as he lived as a normal person. And then obviously it also talks to his death. That's a part of the name. A piece of the name is the fact that he dies, which is interesting. And so those were the names I chose, and I love those. And Final Refuge was Aaron's submission.
Yep, you would give me a bunch, and you would ask me if I had any ideas, and I had two, but I could only find the one, and it was Final Refuge. And I had thought of that almost a month or two ago, and just written it down on a random piece of paper, as I always do. So it's lucky that I found even that one. Yeah, and I think that it went very well.
That's pretty much how Edward's story ends. And I'll also say, just briefly, we don't have to get crazy into this, but dude, Edward's letter to his dad, that was so good. Dog. Basically, Edward like puts the truths back. He takes care of the world. He tears down the Orcish walls so that the orcs are truly free. And then he writes to his dad, and he's like, by the way, thank you for being my example of what not to do, what not to be,
God,
who not to
burn.
be.
What a sick burn.
And he was also like, I pity you because I could have been like you, and you didn't have the luxury of being brave when you were young, but I did. Like, it's like so good.
Could you imagine saying that to like your real life father?
Ooh,
you go up and you're like, hey, I want you to know that I am so thankful that you're my dad because I got to learn what not to be.
Yeah. Well, and yeah.
Like, ow.
Yeah, so...
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but it also shows Edward's pity, because that's important. Yeah. Like, Edward has compassion for his father, but also he's condemned him. And it's like... It's hard to hold both of those things at the same time. But Edward is. And that's, like, where Edward lands with him. I just really like that piece, too.
Anchored, because I'm curious. Do you know what moment exactly about Edward's death made you cry? Like, was it just the death in general, or is like something like if there's a moment that happened, like somebody said something that just really hit your heartstrings?
That's a great question.
While we wait for the response, so during your reading of the names, I messaged everyone because originally our plan was Drew reads the names.
Oh my goodness, dude! That Aaron, let me know. That threw me off so much because then I didn't have the proper signal. Yeah, I totally threw you off. And I'm like, so I had messaged in the chat. I'm like, hey, I know that this wasn't planned. Can I say a thing after Drew is done? And DJ said yes. And I'm looking, and no one else messaged anything because Grant had his eyes closed and Drew was reading. And so I'm like, guess we're just going to go with it. Well, and I saw that message, so I thought, okay, great. Aaron's gonna say something, it's gonna be all right, and then DJ's gonna say something, and we're gonna do what we initially planned on. And then you stop, and nobody does anything. I look at the chat, and I just see DJ say, "Go to black." I'm like, what does that mean?
You should have said credits. That would have been smarter.
My eyes were closed the whole time. I just heard a long period of silence and then giggling. That was my entire. That's everything I knew.
Yeah, because like legitimately, like when he said "go to black," I'm like, okay, does he want me to go to the credits? Because black and credits are two different things.
It's true.
Well,
we just end the stream right there.
Well, that's why I was so confused. Yeah. That's why I just paused for a second, because I was waiting for some sort of actual indication of like, hey, Drew, like roll the clip.
I should have sent something, and I was like, I assumed that you just like couldn't find it, because I know that like I've been in here and I'm like, time to end table scraps, and I'm like scrolling through the scenes that we have 500 of, and I'm like, one of
Anchored.
these
I'm really
is
happy
the end.
that last scene felt like it was a good ending, because it is. To some ways, since it's so extreme, it feels like a little bit of a risky ending, because it could be polarizing, I guess, as to how people feel about it. Not that we want to like fully cater how the story goes to how people feel about it, but for me, I was like, we all liked the idea as a cast of ending
just
on
so you know,
death.
whipped cream.
Shoot.
We are just absolutely spoiling one of the biggest things in the entire.
That's okay though.
Right now,
we're vibing.
So
Yeah,
if you
good
want to
call.
stick around, you can.
Absolutely
but
fair.
if you,
I think it's
if
too
you,
late, guys. We've done
You
it.
already earlier mentioned you didn't really care about
I
the
made
spoilers.
sure
so I'm just
get as loud as I could while you were speaking.
Yeah, that's good. But we all liked the idea. It felt right, but it's also kind of a crazy idea, right?
Yeah.
To do it that way. But it just felt so right, because he's like the only one that's like still mortal. And personally, so much of Edward's character was around the fact that he knew he was mortal and that he had a limited amount of time to live. So like it just felt so right. But anyways, yeah, the ending though, those credits, by the way, I think it was a really powerful moment, I think, for all of us. Like, Edward dies, you know, there's that little goofy moment where everyone's like, what the heck are we doing? And then the credits roll. The credits, first of all, I made that day, the song and the credits, and they turned out good, so I'm happy. Second of all, it was like such a surreal experience I had the stream pulled up and I saw the credits rolling. I was looking at them, and then like afterwards we're like talking about the end of the campaign and like the experience it's been for us. And DJ was getting emotional and he was like, thanks to my players, this has been amazing. Which I don't know if he's ever really gotten that emotional like during a stream, and it was just such a surreal experience to have the credits rolling.
Oh yeah,
it was
whoa, something else.
This is the end. Like, we've done it.
Weird.
Finally, we had to go.
I was in the fields that night. And my character had died. I totally underestimated how much that might affect me, but I was like, whoa, like. Because most of the time I'm like, yay, fun, goofy D&D time. You know, I care about my character and want to play him well, but I'm not really super tied to whatever happens. I just want to tell a good story. Mm-hmm. But then, like, that night I was like, whoa, like, I'm in the feels, man. This is crazy.
It's something else.
Yeah, so to add to that with the feels, like afterwards, after we ended the stream or whatever, four of us were just hanging out for a little bit. Oddly enough, the thing that made me like feel like I was the closest to like crying and being like really emotional was when I was looking at my character sheet for Cather afterwards and thinking to myself, man, I don't need this anymore. Like,
well, you probably will.
Like, there's like there's maybe the occasional one shot or whatever.
Yeah, but never every single Monday.
Yeah, but like in all honesty, like I could delete this character sheet and move on, and it would be. Like, and that's like that was super weird to think about, you know, because it's just like, I mean, because that is more of like, and obviously, I mean, it's the same thing, you know, if we had physical paper sheets that we still used. I know most of us don't necessarily use that as much because it's the same thing, especially honestly, even more so, I'd say with the paper, because like especially like when we used to all play like in each other's basements, right? Like you know, you get stains on it. You know, you'd have the old rubber eraser marks.
The little like
You
pictures
know?
that you draw while nothing's happening. You're
Yeah,
waiting for
and
someone
so
to do
then
something.
because then by the end of the campaign, like you're like, oh, I remember all like when all these little things happened to my character sheet, and so then
Um,
to like say
Have
goodbye
you
to all
guys
that
kept
is
all of your
significant.
characters?
I have
still
most of
have
them.
all of
I have
my
a decent portion of
original
them. Yeah.
paper characters. Yeah.
Did
and
either
Edward's
of
one of
you?
them.
Did either of you ever get pinned to the furnace at my old house?
No,
So
I
no,
at my
I
old
didn't. I didn't
house,
play with you long enough. For
In-
that.
Guys, I
in-
gotta use the bathroom.
You got it.
I'll
In
be
my
right back.
basement, we used to play next to the like air conditioning unit / furnace kind of deal. And whenever we had a character die or like a campaign would finish, I would take the player's character sheets and I would magnet them to the air conditioning unit. So we just had a wall of like dead
Of character
sheets and stuff like that. So that
Yeah.
way every time they sat down they would look over and be like, "Nah, I remember playing that guy."
Yep.
It was awesome.
Also, another thing that I thought about afterwards, when I was talking to DJ, something that like is not like important by any means, really, but I did find kind of funny was that I didn't have any sort of epilogue for Leshka at all.
Leshka died.
which like at first I was kind of disappointed by it. Like, oh man, it would have been kind of nice to like know what happened to Leshka afterwards. But then also I thought about it, it's like actually, you know, it's actually very fitting that we don't know what happened to Leshka because the thing is, Leshka is an enigma because we don't know what his backstory is and we don't know how his story ends.
Dude, I like the idea that literally after this, literally no one has any idea what happened to Leshka. Like
Everybody's like,
Abenthy's-
who's Leshka?
Abenthy's like stealing books from the Scholar's Guide, and he's like, man, Leshka's gonna be all over me. And then he never hears from him, and he's like, well, that's not right.
Right.
Meanwhile, Leshka's like floating in space as like eldritch monsters have like abducted him, and he's like, I don't know how I got here.
We're not gonna see Leshka again.
I like that ending.
until like the end of campaign 4 and he just appears like a crazy time traveler and he's the one who gives the first quest to the party in campaign 4.
Oh yeah, he's the old man in a cave.
Yeah, 100%.
I almost made a Leshka joke, and this is my
Oh,
time
you're
to
so
redeem
good.
myself. I told Aaron afterwards, and I'm so sad
Oh, my
I didn't do it.
goodness.
I literally, the reason why I didn't say this joke was because in the moment I was like, is this insensitive to lizard folk or whatever? I don't even know if that's what
Dragonborn.
Leshka is. Oh shoot, now I'm being insensitive to Dragonborn. That's a bad oopsie in Dragonborn culture. But you know, whatever. Here's my thing. There was a point where DJ or you were like, and Leshka does this or whatever. DJ was like, yeah, and Leshka is this way. And I think it was like descriptive.
It was
And
like,
I almost-
and Leshka goes and does his thing or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
And I was on the tip of my tongue. I was like, almost Leshka evolves into Charizard. And that to me is so funny. And I didn't say it.
Missed
You know
it.
what else I didn't do? I wanted to say, as Edward on his deathbed, I wanted him to go, this is the journey's end.
You also
Because-
didn't say that. Yeah.
Oh, I never saw it because it's like the title of the episode or whatever, and also like the first episode or whatever. So,
Well,
anyways,
Clayton,
those are two things I didn't get to do.
I hate it so much when media
I know you do, but I'm me.
like says the title. Oh,
Yeah, but I think it's funny.
It's
I think
a
it's
trope.
funny.
I think it's bad unless it's done very like if it's purposely
Self-aware.
done cornily, you know?
yeah,
like, if
it's like-
it's memeing on itself.
Yeah, if it's purposely being like, "Ha, we're idiots for saying this
To
in
be
the
fair-
episode, but we're going to say it anyway."
I don't
because
think I
it's
made any
idiotic.
jokes. I don't think I made
No?
any jokes during Edward's death scene, and I had so many chances to.
I
So
was
pat
very
myself
proud
on
of
the
you.
back.
You did a very good
I
job
just-
at like maintaining.
There was a
straight
time.
face.
There, like, okay, so I wasn't gonna do this. There's no way there's no alternate universe where I do this, but there was a flicker of light within me when one of you in your like closing statements said "Among Us," and I really almost did this. I didn't almost do that because that would have been so not tasteful at all. So like, I want to be clear that there's no way that that would have ever happened. But I want you
But
to
it would
all
have been
know
so
that
good.
deep within myself, when that happened, it's in the spiritual realm. I reached over and pressed the Among Us sound effect during their like, this was the greatest man among us, and now he's dead. Exactly,
Oh, my word.
sus.
Okay, whipped cream did say something that would be funny, which honestly, like that makes me happy because it makes me feel like Leshka is just Gandalf, but they say Leshka in 300 years in a quaint hidden library says Fate's Gambit, huh? I haven't heard those words in a long, long time. I just feel like
That has to
Treebeard,
happen.
you know.
Have any
I
of
want-
you
I want this to happen now.
seen the last episode of Adventure Time?
No.
I actually haven't finished the series, and I would like to someday.
Would you be upset if I told you kind of like
I can take
one
my
thing
headphones
that happened
off.
in it? That's
I can
fine.
take my headphones off.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't plan on watching it.
Spoilers for the end of Adventure Time. Two people that are basically copies of Finn and Jake go to the top of a mountain to talk to the king of something, and then it turns out that it's Bimo, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to tell us about this thing," and the Bimo's like, "Never heard of him," and then like closes the door. Can anyone hear us? We've got no image, and I can't tell if hello? Need an adult.
Well, they can hear us.
Oh, we can be heard. Hold on. What if I do this? And then what if I go over here? Ah, we fixed it. That I have no idea what just happened. It said that something went wrong with our streaming settings, and then it just completely like shut off the stream and my TV. And I don't know why I shut off the TV.
Yeah, that would be weird.
But yeah, anyway, I just really expect that, like, it would be like, someone would be like, Leshka, oh my goodness, it's you. A temporary half member of Fate's Gambit. And then he goes, who? just does not know about. You're good, Grant. You're good. You're good, Grant. You're good.
Yeah, right. Like,
basically, Leshka just doesn't remember who we are. That would be the funniest thing to me. If they're like, oh my goodness, Leshka, the one who was there in the final battles and really did your thing. And wow, Leshka. And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Who? We can't hear you, Grant, by the way.
Oh,
it would be kind of low-key hilarious if, like, for some strange reason, Leshka had no idea who or what Fate's Gambit was.
Absolutely.
No spoilers time. Come on, grab your friends. We'll cut your stream off before it ends. With Aaron the host, also Grant and Drew. The spoilers will never be revealed. It's no spoiler time.
Literally, that is hilarious, though. That I was like, hey, spoilers for Adventure Time, and I got doxxed. Straight up, Rebecca Sugar was like,
Straight up got DDoSed.
Oh, it's out of tune a little bit.
I don't know. That's
Just give me a moment. Give me a moment. Give me a moment.
When was the last time you played your ukulele, Grant?
Like maybe 5 days ago.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway,
you just haven't used it on
pretty
stream
much
in forever, so.
out. We were over 2 hours, so like I'm.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what else are we gonna talk about.
I'm just waiting for Grant to mute his thing. We've covered a lot of topics.
We have talked about a lot of things. So, well, I guess so we could reiterate a few things for now that the campaign's over. TPD will be
no
going.
Spoilers
will
time.
be going.
Come on, grab your friends. We'll cut your stream off before it ends. With Aaron the host, also Grant and Drew. The spoilers will never be revealed. It's Adventure Time.
You know,
There's no spoiler time.
Any review of the next campaign? Oh, well, so it's campaign 2, also known as book 2.
Oh yeah, be on the lookout. I and Grant are making the executive decision, and by executive decision I mean we've made this decision, and now we're going to talk to the others about it. But we're changing up the titles for the episodes.
Yeah,
because they suck.
Sounds
I hate them. They're the worst thing on the planet.
My favorite thing is that
Yeah,
literally
they
everyone in the
look
group,
like farts.
everyone in the group has been like, I hate these titles. And we just didn't. But we all had different ideas as to like what they should look like, so we just never changed them. We just all agreed to equally hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot happening. I actually have like
A checklist.
I could say what I foresee in like
So
following the title idea, but we were like talking about campaign, right? We're talking about campaign reveals.
I mean, we can't reveal anything.
So
Campaign 2 is gonna happen.
Before I talk about too much, Anki, what do you already know? I know that I've revealed some things, but not a lot.
Do the anky panky and
Because I don't want to talk too much about what the campaign actually is, but I'm fine with talking about like, what, like some formatting of some episodes and stuff. So first off, I can tell you that we will have the like individual, like one shots between DM and player.
The one individual character one shots.
Yep, but I will also tell you that they will not be of. So like in this first campaign, when we had the one shots, they were like the build up as to how those people met.
Right.
They will not be that. So they will not be the start of the campaign. So I will tell you that. It is in the same universe, but it is not in the same location as what you've seen. So we will theoretically not be seeing. Well, we might see some of it, but like it's not like it's like, hey, welcome to Athala. We're not gonna see any of the places that have been mentioned up until this point. And that's pretty much most
all
of
you're
what I
getting
can
today.
reveal. Like I don't want to talk about
I'll
like
also
what actually
say-
happens in the story.
I know you're scared of me saying this.
Yeah. I'm
And by
terrified.
saying that, it makes you probably more
Even
scared of what
worse.
I'm about to say. But it really is harmless, what I'm about to say.
Okay, you just made it sound the worst you possibly could.
That's like starting something with not to be racist.
So like,
You
look,
know the
look,
most
it's not
rancid-
that bad,
pretty
guys.
bad.
The
It's
most
not that
rancid,
bad.
out-of-pocket
And you know, look,
thing.
you guys are gonna freak out, but look, it's actually kind of chill. So there's no need to really be concerned. I just killed a guy.
All I'm gonna say is that we are playing different types of characters as cast members. Thank you.
It's so I had a person that would start off sentences with, "Hey Aaron, I don't want you to take this the wrong way." And I knew every time he said that, he would say something that there was no possible right way to take it. And let me tell you, one of the two of those statements where, Aaron, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but you did not get the good genes. That was a real thing that he told me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All,
Yeah,
I love
remember
this guy.
you.
He's like one of my favorite people I've ever met. And then the other one.
I mean,
he said
okay,
was,
Aaron, but see, can you really argue with that statement?
No, absolutely
Jeez, Drew.
not. I know, yeah, Drew just in the paint. But then the other one, and this one was far worse because at least the first one has like truth to it. The second one, he was like, Aaron.
Are you talking about being a 6 out of 10 DM?
No. He was
Or
like,
4 out of
Aaron,
10 DM?
I don't want you to take this poorly. And I was like, go on. And he was like, you have serious cuck energy. And I was like, what does that, why?
That's such an insane
I don't even know what that really
statement.
means, to be
We
honest.
don't have to
man.
get into it.
Drew,
so
sweet
somebody
summer child.
I'm gonna resurrect this conversation. Somebody in chat asks, any new cast members or just the 4 lads?
Hopefully.
We do plan on adding at least 1 or 2 new people.
At least 1. I think 2 would be better for the story. But let me tell you, I would prefer just 1, but for the stream, would prefer 2. I like smaller groups, 4-people parties. Let me make sure that I'm equally devoting enough time to the people, and everything like that. But it's tough because first of all, we have to make sure that we have enough people. Second of all, like, we really want to make sure that we're choosing people that really vibe with like the stream, like what we're doing, are willing to like work with us for things and be there when they need to be there, and are willing to like be in a campaign that could go like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a big commitment for people. Like, we have the benefit of we've already known each other for like 12, 15 years and stuff like that. So it's like, we're not really going anywhere. But like, to just pick up someone off the street and be like, hey, we would like you to play in this campaign that will last 3 years. And that's just tough.
Yeah. Hard sell.
Yep.
Here's what I'll say. This is a good segue. We're going to be doing a mix of, we're still going to be doing live stuff, but we're also going to start leaning a little more into like the post live situation too. So like edited things, whether it be TikTok episodes or like different kinds of like edited versions of episodes we've talked a lot about and things like that. So as far as this break time, there's going to be things we're working on that will like enhance what we do as a whole. And we're going to be working on like developing the good process for what we do. So it's possible that campaign 2 in some ways will look a little different as far as how we're doing it. But overall, and this is related to the cast member thing too, because throughout this whole thing, we also want to be kind of seeking people who might want to be on the cast, and also like kind of experimenting and evaluating how we do things. So I think for me and for all of us, it's a really exciting time actually, because campaign 2 can be a way where we can really implement everything we've learned and do the best thing possible for you guys as our viewers, and do it in the best way for us too as cast members. So really excited, and there's going to be probably a lot of different, things that you notice that are kind of changing a little bit, but like good changes. So that's what I'll say on that too.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I can reveal campaign 2 wise, because I want it to be a surprise. I think that it'll go in ways that people really don't expect. And so I'm excited. It turns out it's actually going to be a political drama.
We're going on Judge Judy.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing I would say, so scheduling wise, so that people know when to begin to expect stuff to be happening again on the channel. Probably won't be streaming a whole lot during this whole break time. Will for sure be kind of dark for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then after that, we'll occasionally be having either a one shot or just kind of an updates or something to kind of help give insight into what's going on. But then, the full length of how long we'll be kind of in a break is still unclear.
I don't think that it'll take. I'm going to say that we should aim for shorter than 6 months. And I say that specifically because I think that it would be beneficial for us to have some kind of goal for the amount of time rather than just,
Someday.
whenever we're ready.
Oh,
it's like,
well, I'll also say we will be creating content.
Yes, it's not
during
like
this time, so it's not like we're dark. Yeah, so we'll be around, but as far as like the kickoff of the campaign, it'll be a while before we have our poop in a group for that.
For sure, we will not be streaming. That is for sure vacation time for the gang. I will also not be having a table scraps this next Thursday. Those are 2 things that will not be occurring because we want a vacation. The next 2 weeks after that, probably no streams unless we're feeling frisky. Now, there's a chance. There's a chance that I may experiment on table scraps with just various things. I may just show up playing a random PS2 game. Let me tell you, I've been wanting to feel. I've read that TPD feeling a little quirky. I've been wanting to finish a game called Monster Rancher 3 since I was like 10, and I have tried for so long, and I don't understand a single mechanic of that game to this day.
Insert cash or select payment type.
Thank you, Grant.
Thanks, Grant. So there may be a chance that if I'm just feeling up to it, I may hop on a Table Scraps time, play some random game for like 2 hours and just hang out and talk. That for the next 3 weeks there will for sure be no Dungeons and Dragons to my knowledge. But keep an eye on the Discord if you want to know for sure, rather than just vague statements. But yeah, and then after that, it's free game. Who knows what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah, baby. We're going to the
information,
moon, baby.
and we're just gonna work hard in the background to figure out what's going on. I can tell you, I have plans to be the artist for character art and maybe the intro if I can, which is going to be a lot of the focus of my like during the break work, is like making character concepts and doing drops and figure out like what exactly they look like with the rest of my players, and then actually creating a physical example of them that may even be animated for the intro if I get my stuff together and really figure out how. Because let me tell you, it may take 6 months of very regular work to get that together. So hopefully that turns out well. Do either of you have any more things that you would like to talk about?
I don't think so.
I'll
It's kind of all been said.
That's my secret, Anki. I'm already a burnt fuse. It's already gone. I'm just ash, dust in the wind. Nothing to burn.
I have something to say.
You got something to say?
I have something to say.
You got something to say?
I got something to say.
All right. So are you going to say it, or are you just going to yell?
So, throughout this time, all of us, right, are people, and we all have lives. We're also like early 20s, which is a pretty crazy time.
I don't know
all
what you're
been
talking
moving
about,
around.
Grant. I am a 50-year-old robot.
My knees are 50.
We all are mostly 23 or early 20s. And throughout the campaign, you know, our lives have changed a lot. And as you know, while you're live most weeks, you know, for an evening, we're trying to figure out our lives and, you know, do things. And we are all older now. And this break will give us a chance to really focus on pieces of this project that we've otherwise somewhat neglected. And so we're all really excited because we really get a chance to beef up what we do here. And I think you guys will be seeing a new version, a like evolved version of what we do from here on out. I really fully believe that. I think it's going to be way better and way different.
There are two things
I'm excited.
Besides the art that I am so excited for.
Okay, tell me. Okay, tell me.
The Patreon and the chat interactivity during the stream.
Yeah.
Those are my, besides working on the art. Here's the thing. I already have the entire campaign thought out. I've got it in the brain. It's there. It's set. We're ready to go. I could literally start DMing right now if you had characters.
I mean, I have a character sheet.
Well, Grant doesn't.
Crazy person.
But the things that I will be focusing on the most, other than art, are going to be making stuff for the Patreon. So if you're one of our patroneers, I want stuff that allows you to contribute to the game itself, on top of getting like benefits and shout outs and things. Like, I want you to be able to have interaction with the stream that no one else gets. But I also want people who are just everyday viewers the capability and option to interact with us in some way in the game without just typing a message. So like, I've got plans for you to be able to use those channel points. I've got plans for you to be able to use bits and like donations and subs and stuff. So that way, if you want to like harm or hurt us, you can do so. Not physically, but like there may be a point in time where Grant is like finally going to succeed. And it's like a big moment. And Grant's like, all right, I'm going to try this. And then you guys can group up and gang up and give me the ability to say, Grant, you roll this with disadvantage. I am so excited.
Drew, what 2 things are you the most excited for? I'm excited for those things too, Aaron, by the way.
Even one thing?
Yeah, one thing. Is there any? Are you excited at all?
No.
Just absolutely despising every.
Because I got a whole vase full of different.
I
things
think.
I'm excited
I mean,
for.
there's lots of things that I'm potentially excited about, but there's just still a lot of unknowns even to us about what campaign 2 and the rest of TPD is going to look like. So I don't know. I'd say I'm definitely excited for my campaign 2 character. I think if I'm able to work with Aaron well and pull it off well, I think it'll be really fun to play in a really interesting story. And then TPD sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. And then my number 2 thing would be I am looking forward to or excited about us having an opportunity to beef up a little bit and have regular TikToks again. Maybe work on maybe have some regular time to work on new music things.
Here's the goal. Is I just make so many TikToks in the first 3 weeks that they last us for the first year of the next campaign.
So yeah, we only have TikToks for a whole year. We only have TikToks for the first 3 episodes of campaign 2.
And then when it's starting to approach them, then I can sit down and make another year worth of TikToks in just one day. No, it is not up to date with our stream or anything, but that's all I've got. As a side note, I was actually reminded of a very entertaining conversation I had earlier today where someone at work was like, hey, Aaron, have you ever thought how funny it is that, like, you could just be an expert at anything if you watched enough YouTube videos about it? Like, you could learn anything just through YouTube and probably be an expert. Like, could you imagine some person who's like a heart surgeon and they just learned it all through YouTube videos? I'm like, yeah, it's going to have
this... but you got to practice that stuff.
It's going to be this really awkward moment when they're, like, in the emergency room and they're like, doctor, he's bleeding out. We need surgery now. And he's like, I'll be right there. Give me just a minute. And then you hear, Raid Shadow Legends. And he's like, God dang it, I didn't pay for YouTube Premium. And some patient's just dying on the table. I can't skip this one. Oh,
that's the future we're heading towards.
Beautiful.
I have things I'm excited for.
Yeah, hit me.
Here's what I think. I think that now we're not going to do this as a principle, but we have what? Over 400 hours easy of the main campaign alone, probably, or somewhere around there.
We have almost 900 hours. We have almost 900 hours of streamed content.
Yeah, so like we have done a pretty poor job of repurposing what we've done. And in my head, we have like 2 different things. We have the live stuff and then we have the edited stuff. And most like people that do something similar to this usually have a bit of both going on. Over the break, I personally really want to hit hard edited material. I think if we, and I'm not promising anything here, but ideally, like if we were to have edited episodes that are like more so the format that a lot of people enjoy, as well as the live stuff available, I think that would do a lot for us. And it would be a lot of fun too. I think like having the episodes condensed to their best parts, it's higher quality, and you can listen to it like quicker than how long the episodes are. I personally am really excited about that. That includes TikToks. And then the second thing I'd say I'm excited about is just like clarifying on our end how we do what we do, considering eventually evolving with some sort of team. Just we're
gonna define the relationship. We're gonna have a DTR.
We're defining the relationship with us in the Paper Dungeon, what we do. And I think overall we're just going to be running a like tighter
We're
ship
gonna have
kind
a
of,
situationship.
Yeah.
and we'll have like a plan in place, like a really clear one, and also that involves way more community interaction, which is something I really care about, that we all value.
Yep.
Not just on stream, but like community
I
forum.
don't know. I don't
like,
really
we
care
really
about
want to
community.
prioritize that
I just,
too.
So other than
I hate
Drew-
all
I
you
know,
guys.
Drew. You
It's
just
so
want to
funny.
play the game.
It's so funny that like for the most part all of us are like pretty we're like, man, we would love to like reach out to other communities and stuff like that, and then just none of us do. We were talking before the stream where it's like,
Yeah, we were talking
we
before the
just like
stream.
don't watch anyone else.
But to be fair, you know, really all we've been able to afford, I guess, or what we've allotted the Paper Dungeon is like the time we spend while we're live, which is still amazing that we've done it for 3.5 years. But we have all kind of agreed that we want to take it a little more seriously and like do that kind of thing, which I think is really cool. We're all really excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like because like it's one thing. It's like there hasn't been a lot of extra time that we've been able to put into things for TPD outside of showing up on Monday nights and streaming. One of those being like community outreach and stuff like that. We haven't really done any of that, and it's obviously not. I don't think it's necessarily like Aaron or I's like skill set to do that.
Yeah.
But the people like Grant or DJ, who I would say has the better skill set for that, you know, hasn't really had, you know, the time to devote to that.
Also,
I think personally, it's also like discipline. Like I hadn't prioritized it, but like we've been doing this so long that we've all learned how it goes, and we've all like kind of learned that we want to commit a lot more to it. So that's exciting.
Also, I would like during campaign 2 to have a charity stream, maybe even a charity month, where it's just
let's
like,
do it every year. Let's do it every year.
yeah, I would like to start it. I can't, like, that's the thing. I can't say for sure, like, during this next year, right? Because we've got to get things for sure under wraps, and then I think we're in a good situation. But the moment that I have because for me, when I, like, first started watching Twitch, those were my favorite things that streamers would do. Like, that's what, like, was, like, interested me so much about Twitch, was the ability to do things like that you can't really do as well on other platforms. Having the live interaction specifically for charity. And like one of my favorite streamers, I asked him because he does like a yearly stream. I know, right, Anki? We just keep getting on new things. But like I was like, hey, why? Like, is there a specific time that you were like, oh yeah, I want to start doing this. I want to start doing charity streams. And his response was, from the start, the moment that I had any following, I figured if I have people watching me and they have any money that they're sending my way, then it is a responsibility of mine to perform that outreach. And I was like, wow, that's such a great response. I would love that if someone asked me, I would love for someone to ask us that question one day. Where it's like, hey, why did you decide to do charity? And our response is, because it was just the correct thing to do. Like, man.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
What a great thing.
I think we all, as people on the cast, have big values like that. And we're at the point now where we can determine how those values come out in what we do. And I'm really excited about that, because for so long it's just been a fun D&D stream. We still had these values, we still talked about the values, but it's been a fun D&D stream for so long that we put together. We've kind of like built a tradition around how we do it, and we've continued to do it that way. And now we're like, oh my goodness, here we are 3.5 years down the road, and we have so much we can do with this.
Yep.
We can really make it into something that aligns with exactly what we care about.
And even when we have been like
I'm so
trying
excited
to do more, it's been a lot of like scratching and screaming and struggling and trying to like pull ourselves above water while we do it.
Yeah. And we've
So
learned
it'd be
a lot
nice to have a
since
sit down now that we like aren't in the middle of something. Like we don't have a campaign that is like, gotta do this, gotta make sure this is what our focus is on. Now that we don't have that right now, we can like set the like prep work and base work to do things. That way when we are doing a stream, we can still do the things that we're interested in that previously we had to like slapdash together because we didn't have any foundation for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All for you guys.
I'm excited for the future. Hopefully, we just don't blow it.
We won't blow it.
I like your confidence. I'm the pessimist of the group. I'm a realist pessimist.
Is that a kazoo? Oh, it's not a kazoo. I thought Drew was holding a kazoo, and I got really excited about it.
So it's good that we have people like Grant and DJ, so that Drew and I could be the the pessimist.
I was gonna say Aaron's the pessimist. I'm the realist. And Grant and DJ are both the optimists.
They're optimists and dreamers.
I got a notification on my computer a little bit ago that said, "Hi, pollen." So, good luck to anybody in my area with allergies, I guess.
Hey, I'm not even going to ask if anyone has anything more to talk about, because you probably do, and I don't want to talk about it. I'm just going to go straight to the end. I'm not even going to do
Wait, we're not even gonna do a bit? We're
Nope.
not even gonna do
No bits.
Yeah, I think we don't need to do
No
bits,
bits,
at
Grant.
all.
No bits.
Plugs. No bits.
plugs, no bits. I'm just going to say
Wait,
good luck and Godspeed, everyone. We will see you next time.
Check out the Patreon for
Dungeoneers.
See you next time,
Goodbye.
Dungeoneers.
Grant, I will